In the meantime, I think we can have a discussion. So far many sessions has been over. So, I would prefer everyone can give their feedback till Jimmy sir joins.
Yeah.
Can you please, enable your videos, and you please come forward and give us the feedback so that, we can make it better and better. Alan, you have any feedbacks about the session?
As of now, nothing. Everything is going in a good manner only.
No, but you should criticize also. Actually, you shouldn't, keep saying good or only good things. Where we can improve is what we want to hear. Actually.
Yes. If anything comes up, I'll let you know.
Okay. Yeah, everybody, you all have the chance. Please go ahead. മലയാളത്തിൽ പറഞ്ഞാൽ മതി.
Say, in fact, Nebu, I have a feedback. I talked to few people, but the problem is that many of them have this problem of site recommencing. So the timing is a bit difficult for them, but they are seeing the video later on. And people who are regularly coming also have this problem because there is some assignment given to them from the office. So they are not able to, since the work has restarted, because we started it during a lockdown period. But that's a limitation which they are telling. But unfortunately, we have worked this out accordingly. The concept was that it should be a continuing education, and people should find time because it is something which is needed for the future.
I understand. I'm getting a call from Jimmy sir. Let me just, hello.
So that's one point which I have noted. But then I thought we should try to manage our time. Because it's a Tuesday, you can plan accordingly. So 11:30 to 1:30, you can dedicate for this. That helps us to be more disciplined. And I feel that people should have that discipline in themselves to improve their standard. So that is why I didn't want to change the time. And it's a management. You should have the skill set. We all are very busy people. None of us are free. We all find time to get things done. Yeah, that's a Syed Haider. That's a very good suggestion. We will definitely look into it. Webinar on call. In fact, it is coming up. QA and QC documentation. We will do that. That's an important aspect which we will look into. So we want that interaction. And second is that we should all discuss. I think Itiwera wants to talk something. Itiwera, yeah. Or Anu wants to tell something.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
സാർ നമുക്ക് ഇതിന്റെ നമ്മുടെ ഒരു പ്രസന്റേഷൻ ഒക്കെ വരാൻ നേരത്തേക്ക് നമുക്ക് അതിന്റെ പ്രസന്റേഷന്റെ ഒരു കോപ്പിയും കൂടെ നമുക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും ഒരു മെയിലായിട്ട് വേണമെങ്കിൽ ആ PPT-യുടെ അറ്റ് ദ സെയിം ടൈം നമ്മളിപ്പം മാക്സിമം നമ്മൾ എഴുതാൻ ശ്രമിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. പക്ഷെ ആ ഒരു സമയത്തിന്റെ ആ ഒരു കുറച്ചില് കാരണം മീൻസ് ഇടയ്ക്ക് ഒക്കെ ഒരു ഹറിബറി ആയി പോകാറുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ നമുക്ക് കുറച്ചും കൂടെ ചില ടോപ്പിക്സ് ഒക്കെ നമുക്ക് ഇതിനകത്ത് എടുക്കുന്ന വളരെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള നമുക്ക് അറിയേണ്ടതായിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളാണ്. അപ്പം അങ്ങനത്തെ PPTs കൂടെ നമുക്ക് ഒന്ന് മെയിലായിട്ടോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു ഇതിനകത്ത് ഗ്രൂപ്പ് ഉണ്ടല്ലോ, ആ ഗ്രൂപ്പിനകത്ത് PPT ആയിട്ട് തന്നെ ഷെയർ ചെയ്യുവാണെങ്കിൽ ഇറ്റ് വിൽ ബി മോർ എഫക്റ്റീവ്. നമുക്ക് ഒന്ന് ഫ്രീ ടൈം കിട്ടാൻ നേരമൊന്നോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമുക്ക് വേറെ എന്തെങ്കിലും വരുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് ജസ്റ്റ് നോക്കാൻ പറ്റുമോ?
Yeah, definitely. We will definitely look into it and send the PPT to the group. In fact, I think Varghese is doing something. Varghese, can you elaborate on that?
Hi, good evening. ഞാനൊരു സ്ക്രീൻ ഷെയർ ചെയ്യാം. ഞാനിപ്പോ ഒരു ലിങ്ക് ചാറ്റിൽ ഷെയർ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. അത് കൂടാതെ നമ്മൾ ഒരു വെബ് പേജ് പോലെ എല്ലാവർക്കും കാണാതിരിക്കുമല്ലോ അല്ലെ? ഞാൻ ഷെയർ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഇതേപോലെ ഓരോ സെഷൻസും നമ്മൾ ഇപ്പൊ നടന്നേക്കുന്ന 9 സെഷൻസിന്റെ വീഡിയോ നമുക്ക് ഇതിനകത്ത് അപ്ലോഡ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഏത് ഈ സൈഡിലെ ടാബിൽ ക്ലിക്ക് ചെയ്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞാലും അതാത് വീഡിയോസ് നമുക്ക് യൂട്യൂബിൽ കാണാനുള്ള ലിങ്കും എല്ലാം ഇതിനകത്ത് അവൈലബിൾ ആണ്. അപ്പൊ എല്ലാ പ്രോഗ്രാംസും ഇപ്പൊ 9 വീഡിയോസ് ഇതിനകത്ത് ഈവൻ ഇനോഗ്രൽ സെഷനും കൂടി ഇതിനകത്ത് അവൈലബിൾ ആയിട്ടുണ്ട്. എല്ലാം ഇവിടെ നിന്ന് കാണാം. അപ്പൊ അത് നമുക്ക് ഇപ്പൊ അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ മിസ് ചെയ്ത് പോയവർക്കും ഇതിൽ നിന്ന് നമുക്ക് അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്ത് കാണാൻ പറ്റുന്ന ഒരു ഓപ്പർച്യൂണിറ്റി ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ നമ്മൾ ഇതിനകത്ത് കയറി നോക്കിയാൽ മതി. ക്ലിയർ ആയെന്ന് വിചാരിക്കണം.
Varghese, is it possible for them to download that?
ഇത് ഈസിലി വിസിബിൾ ആണ്. മൊബൈലിലാണെങ്കിലും ഇന്റർനെറ്റ് കമ്പ്യൂട്ടറിലാണെങ്കിലും വിസിബിൾ ആണ്. അപ്പൊ ഡൗൺലോഡ് ചെയ്യേണ്ട ആവശ്യമില്ലല്ലോ. ഫുൾ വീഡിയോ നമുക്ക് അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്തവർക്ക് രണ്ടാമത് കാണണമെങ്കിലും ഒക്കെ പോസിബിൾ ആണല്ലോ.
Understood. So Itivara is asking that can we send it as a note to them at the end of the session?
ഞാനിപ്പോ ചാറ്റിനകത്ത് ഇട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. മറ്റേ വാട്സ്ആപ്പ് ഗ്രൂപ്പിലേക്ക് ഞാൻ സെൻഡ് ചെയ്തേക്കാം.
Okay, thank you.
Basically, maybe he is looking for PPT. I think that also should be a practice.
Because അത് ഓർഗനൈസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ആള് കിട്ടിയാലാണല്ലോ നമുക്ക് കൊടുക്കാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. അപ്പൊ അത് ഡിപെൻഡ്സ് ഓൺ ദ അവൈലബിലിറ്റി.
നമുക്ക് ഇനി അത് അടുത്ത സെഷൻ മുതൽ നമുക്ക് അതൊരു ഇതായിട്ട് പറയാം.
Yeah, we will try to do that. Yeah.
And so, do you think we should change the time since it is only on Tuesdays? Then we can.
ഒരു 11:30 എന്നുള്ളത് ഒരു 11 AM സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യാവുന്ന രീതിയിൽ. കാരണം ഈ കോവിഡ് സിറ്റുവേഷൻ ആയതുകൊണ്ട് ഓഫീസിലായാലും എന്താ ലഞ്ച് ടൈം അതിനനുസരിച്ച് ഷെഡ്യൂൾ ചെയ്തേക്കാണ്, ക്രൗഡഡ് ആവാതിരിക്കാനായിട്ട്.
Okay, Tinu, we will change to 11 AM. As per Tinu's suggestion, we will make it to 11 AM from the session onwards.
Okay. Any other suggestions? Any other feedbacks?
So we will make it to 11 o'clock from next session onwards. And I think it should be interactive. It should be more interactive than that. Only it will be useful for us in the long run. Actually, the idea is that we will give a data for continuing education. Second aspect is that this should be a forum where sometime or Itivara or MS, you have a problem at site, you know they are doing something similar, so you will be able to ask them to come up with a solution. So that's the whole idea about.
It's all about how you organize yourself, Elazar. I mean, that's also very important, you know, in our career.
Alan, any other point which any doubts you have in the sessions, anything which you want to discuss now? Because Jimmy sir has a problem to get connected, so he is joining in 2 minutes time. So anything else we want to discuss now based on the last 8 session?
One second.
There is something I would like to say. Actually, there is another session also actually been conducted by us. That's actually conducted on every Wednesdays. That's on quality management programs. I mean, the tools and, you know, the process and all that. It's a hardcore project management topic. If anybody is interested, please join. It's a free webinar.
Okay, yeah. So there are a lot of forums now available for data sharing. So
Yes.
we should all try to keep on learning to improve so that it all adds value addition to us as we move forward.
True. Very true. All these processes, processes actually use satyam. That's our future growth. This process it makes our works easier.
And how was the session on the cracks, Alan? On the cracks, you attended to that, no, by Joseph, because there is cracks are a big problem in sites. So what about that session?
Hello, sir.
about the session on cracks. How was it useful for that?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes. It was a very nice session.
കേറാൻ പറ്റിയോ?
Any doubt you people would like to ask regarding something, in the construction industry, not related to the course itself? Anything which you want to have an interactive session, by the time he joins, we will be able to do that. Anyone has got some questions to ask or share? This can be a discussion forum where we can interact among each other.
Anil sir, I have one doubt.
Yeah.
It is not at all a technical issue.
Yeah.
So, do you feel that civil engineers, fresh civil engineers, are underpaid in Kerala or in India? What is your take on that?
So definitely we are an underpaid society in the engineering education. The major reason is that we don't have a professional license. So if you go to any other foreign countries where you are supposed to practice or go to a site engineer, you should be registered. And that is a very important process. There is an engineer's bill wherein unless and until you are registered with that, you cannot do the practice or look after the site. And your signature carries the responsibility weightage. Since it is not there, and one more thing which we lack is that there is a difference between what we learn in theory in the college and what is being in the practice. So when you're as a fresher, when you comes out, you don't have that finishing skill training, so they underpay you. But what I have seen is that as we move forward, if you know the subject, civil engineering profession is the one which is quite reasonably paid profession. As we move forward, we start at a very low rate, but
that is correct, sir. You know about the hardships and all as a site engineer, fresher, face at site. That means especially during the execution work, concreting, there is no difference between day or night. You just have a date and you have to complete the job. So you just imagine that if you are staying away from your native, that means if you are working in Cochin, for example, my native is not from Cochin, you have to take a home, you have to stay in PG, and if you get a pay around some 12,000, so how can you survive? Recently, many from the other medical professions like nurses and all, they were having some United Nurses Association. I don't know whether I'm deviating from it or not. They are asking for a minimum wages. Minimum wages is something like around 20,000. So they are getting 20,000. We are getting 12,000. And I'm just not talking only about the money part, but I feel that this is not correct. Anil sir, can you hear me?
What is the important aspect?
Hello, Anil sir.
And also your voice is breaking. I think there is a network issue.
Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yes, you're audible, sir. Please speak up, sir.
Yeah. So the problem is that they have a house urgency. So they get trained. Even second year onwards, they are going to hospital to see the patient. So once we should have a minimum rate as we move forward. But then for that, you need minimum 2 years experience. So there we will have to cap up with something, and we will have to come up with a solution for that. Everywhere people are underpaid in the initial part of their career, but as they move forward, there are people who get a very attractive packages, like in Prestige and all. So they like the senior doctor, they get 1.2 crore, 1.5 crore package in Cochin itself. Who is in head of the operations?
Yes,
civil engineer.
Alan,
I'm just talking only about the freshers, sir. So Alan, I feel really sad.
Yeah, always, as you mentioned, Alan, actually the companies here, they pay very less for the freshers. In fact, they don't have a standard for it. But if you look at the standard construction firms or real estate firms or any civil engineering firms, like Prestige, as Anil sir has mentioned, or L&T, or SPCL, or HCCL, or Gammon, or Shobha, or any companies, any recognized companies, they have a standard for
That
any
is correct,
freshers.
correct.
Even they have a standard for the grads they pick up from the college also. So that makes the difference. And again, actually, see, it all depends on how experts we are. So we spent 2 hours, couple of years for educating ourselves. In the meantime, if we can also learn, some practices, some processes, and some, upscaling tools, we can actually demand. So to the best of my experience, actually, see, I have always demanded for my packages, because it's all about how you spend your time. And trust me, always you look at a standard company. The smaller companies, they have a tendency to hire freshers,
Correct, correct.
and they give them training and they deploy them for projects. But the problem is actually they spend the whole a whole 2 year for training, and then once they are trained, they'll just jump away. That's also another big issue
That
that
is
we are
correct. That
facing.
is correct.
And 2 to 3 years, we have to slog on the site. That's a fact. And basically, that's the thing. You have to look at bigger firms during your initial stages itself. If you can get through, that's the best thing. It's also a corporate job. It's also a white collar job. If you get through any standard companies, even the site engineers, they have their own, prestige. Here it is actually mistreated. I should say that. Not only in Kerala, actually, many states, they have the same problem. The site engineers are ill-treated. But then we have to, upskill ourselves. That's the best thing that we can do. And again, this sort of forums, wherein you have many people, you all actually, I really appreciate, Alan. I know you have put across this concern. That's more important. We all have to speak up. See, many of them have, are hiding actually. That doesn't even want to show their face. So then how are we going to, get our privileges if we don't speak? So we have been always, insisting, please enable your video, please speak, whatever it is. We talk in matters. Yeah, go ahead. Who is that? Today's speaker is having a serious network issue, technical problem. Actually, he's trying to fix it. So please bear with us for some time.
Hello, this is Haider.
Yeah.
Good morning, sir. This is Haider.
Yeah, Haider, go ahead.
Sir, I am from Uttar Pradesh.
Yeah.
And I would like to thank you for this program. I am very happy to be the part of this program. So, because it is very useful for us, and I learn a lot of things from this program. So thank you so much.
Yeah, Haider, thank you. Thank you for joining in. Haider, I think since Jimmy sir is not able to join, I will go ahead with the session. Primarily, I also practice in the same field. So we will do an introduction to foundation engineering. So it's not a prepared session, but let me try to work it out. Can I share the screen?
Yes, sir. Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, fine.
And sir, I'm muting all. You can unmute and you can start speaking. 1 second.
Yeah. So introduction to foundation and
Yes, sir. Please unmute yourself.
yeah. Am I audible, Nebu?
Yes, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So introduction to foundation engineering. I will just run through. A look around Cochin city. So it's like observation and not age that brings wisdom. And like we all pointed out, there is a lot of foundation problem. So which is not getting recorded. So this is just a look around city. So this was a building which was just opposite to KSRTC bus stand. And when this building was constructed, it was 5 feet apart. There was 1.5 meter gap between the two buildings. And as time went by, the buildings started settling down and both the buildings are touching each other and standing. So one has moved toward the right side, the other has moved to the left side, and both have touched each other and is standing like this. So that is why they state that Cochin people are very good neighbors, because one building was settling down, the other building settling down. They both balanced each other and is standing there for last 20-25 years. It was there. So this is a hotel Blue Nile which is there. You could have gone in and had a drink of tea if you had the courage to get in. It has gone down by 3 to 4 feet. So that was the problem. But unluckily, they have dismantled this building now and they are going to reconstruct. So the buildings which are constructed spending a lot of money get settled, and Cochin has got one of the worst soil in the world. And this is again the photo of that particular building. This is a house. When I first went in to see this building, the building when constructed, it was about feet above the ground level, like and reached the stage where it has gone. So Mexico, there is a library in Mexico which has gone down 2 feet into the two floors into the ground level. The building in Mexico, the Mexico library has gone down 2 feet uniformly to the ground level. Similarly, this building has gone up to sill level. And after 3-4 years, when I went, this building, you can directly enter into the first floor with 5 steps. So the entire building has gone down. This is in Kadavandara, Cochin. So people spend money and they bury the dead bodies. They don't study what went wrong. Again, the same mistake is getting repeated because we are not sharing our knowledge. So it's very important that in foundation problems, we understand that. Now this building has gone about 3 feet to one side. And if we go to certain area, especially in Tripunithura belt, where we can see that the buildings keep on going down due to very soft clay present. So you have to understand, and that is where this continuing engineering education Builders Association of India are very essential, because where here we share our knowledge, discuss and understand that if we have to go to this area, it has to be careful. We have to be careful. We can understand that which area, what is the soil, what is the bearing capacity it can take. You will be able to understand what sort of foundation is needed in that particular area. And even if our design engineers make a mistake as site engineer or fellows in charge, we can take a decision accordingly. And foundation engineering is one thing which we cannot copy from one place to the other. When we do structural design, it's even if it's a 20-story building, most of the things can be copied because everything is under particular bandwidth only. Whereas foundation, it will be totally different. So let me move on with this. So this is the building which is in Tripunithura, where they have constructed the building. And now what we are seeing that they are dismantling. So it was a 3-story building. After construction, it started tilting towards one side. And when the tilt became very heavy, they demolished the 3rd floor, made it into 2 floors. And after a few years, when it was tilting was again higher, they demolished it to 1 floor. So it is that we are deconstructing simultaneously to make sure that it is not happening. This is a building in Tripunithura where they have made it to 3 floor, reduced to 2 floor, and finally made it to 1 floor. And now they have dismantled into it totally. There are various different types of foundation which I would like to discuss with you today. The most common thing is the rubble foundation. And what is the need where the rubble foundation has to be used? We should have an idea. Then we have inverted T foundation, and to what extent where it has to be used. And most importantly, when you might have studied all these type of foundation in college, but once you come to site, you should know what will be the cost if you adopt that foundation. So this exercise which today is to take a particular building, understand that what is the cost variation going to happen in that building if only the soil properties changes. So that is where we have to have a good idea. So these are, it's like a doctor prescribing medicine. You have many different types of medicine, but which medicine suit which case you should understand. It is always easy when somebody else take decision, but when we have to take decision, we should have an idea. So there are different number of medicines available, but which medicine suits your patient, you should know. And again, you should know that what is the cost related to that. That is where we are not at all trained, and where we have to improve our skill set once we come out of the college. I know we have few students from SCMS college who has joined in. So as young engineers, you should understand that the cost is a very important factor once you come to the field practice. So this is isolated foundation. Then we can have well foundation, rough foundation, underream piles, DMC piles. So you know that for a building, there are different options. So it can be for a single story building, it can be for a 20-story building, it can be for a 40-story building. What is the foundation needed? As an engineer, we should have a idea. We should not go to the detail aspect, but we should have an understanding that yes, this is the building. I am constructing a house in this area. What should be the foundation and what will be the approximate cost? So that is an important aspect which you should know. So I'm taking a typical project, a small building. This is the ground floor plan, about 1,500 square feet, and a first floor plan. So again, 1,500 square feet area. So this is a building. And what in this exercise, what we are going to do is that we are going to take this building into different soil condition. All the other factors remain the same. And we are going to understand that what is the impact of the type of soil on the cost of the building. So because it's a very important aspect. Tomorrow, a client comes to you, ask you about what will be the cost. You should have an idea approximately that this is the cost going to happen. So this is a presentation which was done quite some time back. So we might have to change the numbers a bit. Now, the common thing where we are adopting is the rubble foundation. Most of you know. So there are laterite foundation as well as rubble foundation. So generally where it is used for conventional load bearing walls, up to 3 floors, you can go for this system. Up to 2 to 3 floors, you can go for this rubble foundation, provided you have hard laterite soil or medium to dense sand strata. Up to 3 floors, you can go for that, and you have a PCC at the bottom and about to be the width of the rubble at the lower level. And as we go up, that is what is minimum required for load transference. And I can tell you the concept, because this 60 centimeter means your bearing capacity value. Suppose for a 2-story building, you should have a rough idea. It will be approximately 6 ton per running meter will be the bearing capacity which you need. So that will be the load coming from the foundation, the wall load, and the slab load, and you will have a first floor load and a slab load coming from that. So approximately 6 ton per meter will be the running load which is coming on from a 2-story building. So you should have a bearing capacity of 10 ton per meter square or higher. You can go for rubble foundation. And when you get hard laterite, you get a capacity ranging from 15 to 25 ton per meter square. If you have dense sand with SPT greater than 20, you get this bearing capacity. So this is the criteria when you get a soil investigation report. Let's say like people like Smita or Tinu or Alan, I can take a decision that if this is the soil condition there, we can go for a rubble foundation. And then this is the belt which is provided on top of that, because rubble is weak in tension. So even if there is a small pocket happening, this belt will try to bypass the weak pocket and make the building stable. And over that, block work will be done and the building can be constructed. So this is the simplest foundation. And what is the cost? So approximate cost of this building. So suppose we assume that the cost of foundation will be about, say excavation, there will be a cost, PCC there will be a cost, rubble work there will be a cost, and total cost will be approximately 70,000 per total, and it will be approximately 25 rupees per square feet, which will be 4% of the superstructure cost. So that will be the cost which you need to spend. The superstructure cost remains the same. So if you have a very good strata, your cost will be only 4% is the cost of the superstructure. Now the second option is that you are not very sure, the values are a bit lower, then you can go for an inverted T foundation, because the small gaps also it can be bypassed, and it is adaptable for medium dense sand strata, medium stiff clay strata, and for up to structures up to 3 floor, and we call it as wall foundation because the load get transferred directly into the soil beneath. That is why we call it as wall foundation, and the load get dissipated in the entire area. So it is advisable when you are not sure of the type of soil below. So either rubble or inverted T foundation you can go for. Nowadays, we find very less skilled laborers to do rubble foundation. So most of the cases we are going for inverted T foundation. You can see that up to 75 centimeter width slab will be there, and a beam will be inverted on top of that. Over that, rubble work will be done, and a belt will be provided. A DPC layer will be provided on top of that in order to prevent the dampness from getting into the wall. So that's a very common problem which you see in many of the houses, and including your houses. If you have a close look, you can see that in the ground floor, the peeling of painting is happening because the dampness gets shifted from the ground level due to capillary action and gets into the wall. So that is the reason why it creates problem, and we will have to go for a DPC layer in order to prevent that. So this can be done up to 3-floor building, and the cost for this will be approximately 10% of the superstructure cost. So we work out the superstructure cost. At that time we have worked as 600 rupees. Now it might be about 900 to 1,000 rupees per square feet will be the cost required for constructing the building. So you might have to spend about 100 rupees per square feet for a inverted T foundation at the current market rate. So that was 600. So it was 56 rupees per square feet is the detail working. The idea of this concept is that you should have an idea if you are going for this foundation or that foundation, with what is the cost is going to happen. And again, the decision has to be based on the type of soil which you have in that particular area. Now coming to isolated foundation, suppose we don't have a good soil on the top, so you cannot distribute the load across. So then what you do, you go, you dig deeper, say suppose 3 meter or 2 meter, you have a good strata, you put a isolated foundation where the load get dissipated into that particular strata. And this can be used for hard laterite or medium to dense strand. Even for multi-story building, you can go for isolated foundation. So there is a question which generally we ask, what sort of foundation is required for a building? Suppose I have a 5-story building, and generally our answer is that it all depends upon the type of soil you have. For a security cabin, certain times we have to go for under pile foundation or a deep pile foundation based on the type of the soil you have. And sometimes for a 25 or a 30-story building, you can go for isolated foundation. So that's a concept you should understand, and that is the beauty of the geotechnical engineering, because it's like an art. It's not a defined science. It's like you making a painting. The more you do, the more skilled you have, and certain times soil surprises us. So the father of soil mechanics, Carl Terzaghi, says that the soil is such a beautiful element. It varies horizontally as well as vertically, and the very many theories which we study are only applicable in the book, and we cannot convert it into site unless and until you have the art of understanding the behavior of the soil. And the process of understanding the soil is like you mature like a wine over the years. So the more you do, the more experience you get on that, and as time passes regarding how to interpret the soil. So isolated multi-story building also. So this is the typical isolated foundation. Is my voice breaking? typical isolated foundation. So you can see that what will be needed for that building, and you can have small columns to take care of that. Nowadays, we provide struts in order to have the buildings more earthquake resistant. So this will be more beneficial in that case. And the approximate cost will be about 10% of the superstructure cost. So suppose you are spending on your structure 600 rupees, so you will have to spend 60 rupees per square feet on the isolated foundation which you are going for. So this is a project which I did in 1994. I was the structural engineer for this project. So this I have done in isolated foundation. It's the project for Bhagirath. At that time, Bhagirath was one of the senior builder at that time. And this is a building which is resting on isolated foundation and on a hard lateritic strata. So well foundation, what we do well is there are two different concepts of well. The actual well foundation is what we do for bridges, where we go deeper, go to the hard strata and found that. Whereas for this sort of small buildings, what we do, the temporary well is available, rings are available in the market. We take that ring and dig down, we'll go to the strata where we want, and when we do the foundation from that level. Why it is needed? Where hard soil is available at shallow depth, below very, very weak topsoil, such as soft clay and loose sand. So once we excavate, what will happen? Loose sand and soft clay will start collapsing. So this will prevent it from collapsing, and you can go down to the strata you need and can construct the foundation, and dewatering also is better. So it act as a temporary casing. So here you can see the photo of the well. So there are different wells are available, 90 centimeter, 1.2, etc. And you can go to the good strata, fill it up, or your foundation can start from the bottom, put a capping on top of that, and then you can do your construction on top of that. Again, the cost will be 13% of the superstructure cost. And certain times, if the soil is bad, the bearing capacity is weaker, then what you do? You go for a raft foundation. So soft to medium stiff clay and loose sand, where we have to go for a foundation, we go for a raft foundation. And when you go for a raft foundation, since there is a huge slab spread across the area, your cost jumps up and goes up to 20% of the superstructure cost. And there is something called underream pile foundation. It is used where soft clay and loose sand strata and load to be transferred to better founding strata beneath. Suppose you have a good strata at 7 or 8 meter or 10 meter, you cannot dig it to 8 or 10 meter to have your foundation. So at that time, we go for this underreamed pile foundation. And underreamed pile foundation, the benefit is that if you go down below, there is an underreamed bulb, and you can make a foundation below at this ground level, so that your load get transferred from the top to the good strata below. And due to the friction as well as the end bearing happening, we will be able to manage the foundation. So this is the underreamed pile foundation. It was developed by G.S. Jain from IIT Roorkee, and it was primarily for black cotton clays in the Deccan Plateau, where they have adopted this because of the moisture variation. There is a lot of problem created by the black cotton clay. So in order to prevent that, they came up with this. Now it has spread across India and everywhere, especially in Cochin, we are using this underreamed pile foundation for residential projects. So you can see that if you go for underreamed pile foundation, again the cost depends upon the depth of the soil where you have good strata. Suppose it is 5 meter strata, we have a good soil, the approximate cost will be 12% of the superstructure cost. And in the same plot, suppose you buy one plot on the one area, and just in the adjacent plot, if the soil is weak, and if you have to go for a 10 meter foundation, so what will happen? You see that the cost jumps from 12% to 17%. So you have twin houses, one plot you have a good soil at 5 meter depth, the next plot you have a good soil at 10 meter depth. So you do underreamed pile at both the location, the same structure, but you see that the cost jumps by 5%, and it's a big number when you do a villa project of 40 or 50 number. So that is why lot of economics and the viability of project depends upon the foundation which you are going to adopt for the particular project. And this is called DMC pile foundation, and DMC means direct mud circulation. So what they do, they circulate a chemical or a bentonite, either a bentonite or a polymer is circulated from a pump, which prevents the collapse of the site. You bore to the required strata what you needed, recirculate that, Then you put the reinforcement there, put a tremie pipe and do the concreting. So that is the DMC pile foundation which are used to transfer heavy loading in our area primarily. So even for all the multi-story building and all the complicated projects, we are going for DMC pile foundation. So what will happen? The cost jumps to 30% of the superstructure cost. So we have seen that we had only, for if it is only 25-meter deep. So if you have a good soil at 25-meter depth, your cost for the same building jumps from 4% cost to 30% of the superstructure cost. So that is the major impact. And if the soil is extremely bad, like in Panambali Nagar or some area where we have to, or in Kalur area where the soil is extremely bad, you will have to go up to 40-meter depth and your cost is going. So now the we just changed the type of the soil, and we found that if we had a good soil, we were supposed to spend only 4% of the superstructure cost, whereas if it is a very bad soil, we will have to spend up to 44%. So it is very important before you select the plot where you are going to make your construction, understand what is the soil there and understand that what is the cost impact likely to happen. So see the difference. So from 4%, same building has gone up to 44% only because the soil is bad. And this is a cost comparison for DMC pile foundation. So it is an actual case study which we have done. It was for a G+9-story building. It was designed by somebody from Bangalore, has done the project, and cost of piling for their design going up to 50-meter depth was 82,50,000, and that was 118 rupees per square feet. They needed 110 numbers of pile. We redesigned it and reduced the pile to 40-meter depth, worked out the capacity, increased the number of pile, increased the diameter, and our cost was coming to 69 lakh. So you can see that the impact, just we have not changed anything, only changed the founding layer, founding strata, and reworked the concept. So the cost impact is the saving of 13,50,000 rupees was the cost saving. So it's a very important aspect when we are doing proper engineering and when we study the soil properly. So that is where it is very important. You should have a proper soil investigation data. And I have seen over the years that people are willing to spend crores of rupees on the things, but they are not ready to invest on investigation and to understand that how the cost can be optimized. So it's a very important aspect which we will have to look into. Now coming to that, which is, it's a tagline which I always like to share with the young engineering fraternity. It is that if it is worth building, it is worth testing. And our engineering has to be properly understood. The behavior of the soil has to be understood to come up with the correct solution. And how can we do? So at least nothing is there. You do a trial pit. Trial pit, see what is the soil below. Take a rod, hit it and understand what is the soil beneath, and then take a decision. So trial pit on all four corners and the center will give a data whether the soil is uniform or not. Then what you do? You can do hand augering. Hand augering to take the sample, understand that what is the soil beneath, so that we can take a decision. Then we have the system of wash boring where water is pumped in and the samples are taken out to understand what is the type of soil beneath. Then we have the concept of rotary drilling where you drill below, remove the soil and collect the sample at different level and understand that what is the type of soil and then come to decision. So I have told you trial pit can be taken to study soil profile, but there is a limitation, maximum up to 6 meter we can go for. And useful in laterite terrain, especially you have a good laterite terrain, but in many cases what will happen, there will be the laterite stones might be taken off and refilling might have done. So before you start, I have come into at least 15 to 20 projects where they have brought in all the rubble and then started digging and realized that it was a laterite pit. So it's a very small elementary mistake. But in my 20 years of career or 25 years of career, I have seen minimum 20 cases where they have brought all the material without making a trial pit. So make a trial pit on 4 corners and at the center, you know what is the soil beneath. But people don't do that. They repeat the same mistake again. Then hand augering. So in clay and sand strata, it cannot be used in rock strata. And with an auger there, you can go down, drill it, get the sample back, and can be done up to 35 meter. But generally, since it is a manually driven, it is limited to 15 meter. And wash boring, water is pumped through the drill rod and exit at high velocity through the holes in the bit. So here you can see that, and the wash sample comes at the top. And rotary drilling is a rotary drilling machine. Rig will be there with simultaneous application of pressure to advance the hole. So here you can see that. And SPT test. What is SPT test? It's called the standard penetration test. So it's a very crude concepts where what they have done, a 100-pound hammer is dropped from a height of 75 centimeters free fall, and the number of blows for penetration of split spool sampler for every 15 centimeter is recorded. So 0 to 15 centimeter, 15 to 30 centimeter, and 30 to 45 centimeter is recorded. So we eliminate the first 15 centimeter reading for disturbance in the soil, and the number of penetration needed to penetrate the 30 centimeter using this 100 pounds falling from a 75 centimeter is known as the SPT value. So this is the standard penetration test value, and there should be a proper guidelines. So when you are in charge of nest soil investigation, please make sure that the free fall of 75 centimeter is achieved. So it should not be like that we just drop the weight. So it has to be a properly marked, and actually this is the correct procedure where you should have a guiding case to make the fall control to the 75 centimeter which we need. And this is another test called dynamic cone penetration test, where a cone is placed at the bottom and a hammer is hit, and we measure the logging on a continuous way so that we can understand that what is the type of strength available at different area. And the modified version is the static cone penetration test, where we have a pressure meter and systems where we apply force continuously to understand what is the cone penetration value throughout the depth where the strata is going. So you have a continuous, and when we are going to cone penetration test, a particular AT test to understand the strength data. So these are the different tests which is available. And there are, I will just like to talk about few laboratory testing which is used. One is sieve analysis. What we do, so we do to understand what is the grading of the soil which is going to come in, and we do a natural moisture content test to understand what is the water content which is available in that. Then the liquid limit test means the plastic limit and shrinkage limit. So these are the different tests available. Why is it needed? One is that if you get a sample from the site, if you do a sieve analysis, you will be able to tell that whether it is a sand or clay. So the behavior of sand and clay are totally different. So that is the major variation in taking a foundation decision. So the sand, what will happen if a load is acting, sand, the settlement is there to happen, it will happen immediately. Whereas in the case of clay, what will happen? It will be converted into pore pressure, and over the years it starts settling. So it leads to tilting of the buildings, and all the complications happen in clay soil because the pore pressure gets dissipated over the years. So once we understand what is the natural moisture content and the liquid limit is the stage where the water content reaches to that extent that when it starts behaving like a liquid and start moving away. So if you understand what is the liquid limit, you will be able to understand that at what low water content this soil will start flowing away. If soil start flowing away, there won't be any cohesion or adhesion to the soil. So you have to understand that your type of foundation depends upon the liquid limit and the plastic limit, where it can be the limit where it can be threaded into 3 mm plastic needle. So this is very important from a field engineer's perspective view, because once you know this value, you will be able to understand how the foundation is going to behave under a loading. So whatever we learn in college has to be converted into the field when you are going for a practice. So sieve analysis, you know, based on if it is above 75 microns, it's one classification. Below 75 microns, it's called the fine grade soil. It can be coarse sand, medium sand, or fine sand. It can be either a clay or a silt. If it is less than 2 micron, it is clay, and 75 to 2 micron, it is silt, and we do hydrometer test to understand that. But why it is all needed? Because the behavior of your building is going to depend upon the type of the soil which you are having below. And that is why it is very important to understand the soil at the site where you have to take the correct decision. And that is where you cannot apply the Hopi principle. And again, I told natural moisture content is defined as the weight of water present in the soil to the dry weight. Based on that, we will be able to work out how much is the void formation and how we will be able to understand the behavior. And liquid limit, you know, you all might have done in the college. So you do 25 times and that the moisture content when it joins together. But the field application is that when you know the liquid limit value, you will be able to interpret how it is going to behave at the site. And the plastic limit where it can be threaded into 3 mm diameter. So you know at that particular moisture content reaches that particular value, it is going to behave plastic. So your friction is not going to happen. So based on that, you will be able to understand what is this. So these are some projects which we have done. So this is a Lulu Grand Hyatt project where we have done the study. We have done the structural design. So when they have gone for the tendering, the cost of foundation was at 92 crore. It was designed by WATG London. Architects were there, and then it was given to Singapore-based architect Jorong consultants to do the detail engineering. So Jorong was the structural engineers on record. So this is a property which is leased for 30 years. So when the foundation design came in, the cost of budget for piling was 92 crores. So in fact, Lulu called us and told that we are having a project like this. Can you have a look into that? The first thing we asked is that to look into and comment on that, you have to pay us 5 lakh rupees. And this is for Allen, because you have to decide our fees. And that was what Nebu was also telling. So we told that we will look into and comment on the design, but our fees will be 5 lakh rupees. And like the pure market in which was pointed out, they argued with us and they told that you look into the design, but you have to save at least some money for us. We told we cannot guarantee that. We will look into the design and tell that if it is over design, we will tell it is over design. If it is under design, we will tell it is under design. We will give our feedback. Finally, we had a lot of argument and settled for 3 lakh rupees. Again, you have to have opportunity, so you will have to take for the money which you are getting. And we did a design. We did a lot of work on that. We changed a lot of concept of design, which one day I will share with you on this particular platform itself as we move forward. Where finally, what happened? The major load which was coming is that it's a dredge soil. So it was a recently made fill, and your pile has to go up to 56 meters to take the load. So they had a 1.2 meter. So if you see this area, this is entire a podium. There are 2 floors below. This is an entire podium where the entry, they wanted to have trees growing there. So they had 1.2 meter fill in this entire area, which was taking the foundation cost very high. So we came up with the concept that yes, whatever the calculation design, everything done by Jorong Singapore was perfect, but we told that we will come up with a solution. So we reached loading coming from the dead fill, which is creating the problem. So we asked them to change that. So we told wherever you want trees, we will give you 4 meter by 4 meter by 4, and the tree will be planted, and you can take from that filling. The rest I will manage with geotextile and lightweight material. So this concept was worked in. There are a lot of other problems, 10 to 12 measures which we adopted, and by the time we tendered in the job, the piling cost came down from 92 crores to 69 crores, a saving of 23 crores. And we ended up being the lead consultant to Jorong. We found that the Jorongs, we always have feeling that the fairer skin knows better than us, or the Europeans knows better than us, or the foreigners knows better than us. So it was an engineering argument which lasted for 3 months. From 92 crore, we came down to 69 crore. They told that the landscape architect is one of the best in the world from Indonesia. She doesn't have time to do where they want the tree. I told this is going to cost money. Bring them. We will have a discussion. And we decided where they want the trees. We made the pit accordingly. So everything was tailor-made to the project, and we saved that money, and we became the consultant to Jorong in this project. Jorong found that it is better to put us as the consultant on the job, and we ended up getting a fees much almost 50 times higher than where we about 25 times higher than where we started up with. So that is the importance of giving. So the fees for my young engineers, it's not dependent upon your education, your skill set, but the value which you give to your client. So the money is related to money they are making. So if you are contributing to the project, if you are passionate about your project, that can make a big difference. So these are some of the other critical structural consultants on. UST Global Trivandrum was listed in one of the best architecture building in the last year's Architect Magazine in London. And these are some of the projects. So it's a variety of projects. You should have, as young engineers, don't be worried about the money you are getting now. Get your experience, get your knowledge, so that when you talk, it counts. And when you make a difference to the project, it matters. So if you can come to that level, you will be respected, and there will be payment given to you based upon the time or energy which you are putting and the value addition you make to the team. So that is where the cost, this thing goes up. I know people who are collecting 1.8 crore package in sitting in Cochin, much higher than what doctors get with civil engineering degree. So it's all what you know and what you do. So it's a small presentation which I would like to share with you. And I think I will stop this, and we'll have an interactive session, and if time permits, I will on this. So what was the feedback of the session? Then we will plan whether we need one more session or not. Was it useful? So the concept is that I want it to be interactive. We started with a small building. We have taken it to different places, and we saw that what is the cost variation which is going to happen. So same building, from hard rubble to soft clay, the cost impact is too high. So you should understand that what is the cost and foundation relation. You should have an understanding. And then by putting proper systems into place, proper understanding of engineering, we can make a lot of difference to the tune of 23 crore saving, which was happened in the project of Lulu Grand Hyatt. And we won the best structural engineering award for that project in 2018. So yeah, over to, we'll have an interaction, and then if time permits, I will do a small presentation also. Yeah, thank you, Said. Any questions, Said? Because we want it to be interactive. So rather than a monologue.
Yeah, everybody, please come forward. Any questions? See, I'm sure everybody has got questions, but you need to have the courage and come forward and ask. Doesn't matter if it in the underaണെങ്കിലും ചോദിക്ക് ധൈര്യമായിട്ട്. Syed, go ahead.
Hello, sir. This is Haider.
Yeah, Syed.
Sir, suppose during excavation work of a residential building, we found some water. So what would be our approach?
Yeah. So water is a very tricky thing, and water, the force of the water is a very important thing which we have to consider. One is that we have to understand what is the type of soil. So if it is a clay or sand, which will be more difficult to manage water, obviously sand. Sand, the permeability is much higher. So the clay means the permeability is lower. So you should have a proper dewatering system in place if you are going for this thing. And you should have an understanding that what is the volume of water going to come in, so that you should have an understanding of what is the water table needed. So Haider, you might have seen that I have come up with the theory of having a well foundation, where a ring is lowered in order to prevent the water from coming in the site collapse. So that sort of system will have to. Any other questions?
Anybody?
Anything related with foundation or something? It's all right. Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Sir, if a structure is
Yeah.
built near a water body, are there any other tests that we should be doing to know the soil properties or to know which foundation we should be providing?
Yeah, if it is very close to a water body, you should know what is the level of water at the level and what is your founding strata. If it is below, how are we going to do a dewatering plan? Has to be properly understood, and the system has to be made accordingly. Or you should go for a sheet piling system which has got an interlocking system where it can control the water pressure from coming in. Again, the dewatering system has to be planned accordingly based on the water depth at the area which is nearby. And it is preferable to have a proper solution before digging the ground to understand how we are going to manage this.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Arun.
Yeah, Arun, good afternoon.
ഓക്കെ സാർ, എനിക്കൊരു ഡൗട്ട് അറിയോ, നമ്മുടെ ഐസോലേറ്റഡ് ഫൂട്ടിങ്ങിന്റെ കേസിൽ നമുക്ക് ഒരു 2 മീറ്റർ താഴ്ത്താഴ് ചെയ്യുന്നെങ്കിൽ അവിടുത്തെ സാൻഡ് ലെയർ ആണ് ആക്ച്വലി നിൽക്കുന്നതെങ്കിൽ അവിടെ ഈ നമ്മുടെ സീപ്പേജ് വരുമ്പോഴത്തേക്കും ആ സോയിൽ നമ്മൾ എത്ര താഴ്ത്തി വെച്ചാലും ആ വെള്ളം വരുമ്പോഴത്തേക്കും സോയിൽ ലൂസ് ആവുന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ ആ കേസ് നമ്മൾ PCC ഇട്ട് തന്നെ ഐസോലേറ്റഡ് ഫൂട്ടിങ് പ്രൊവൈഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്ന കേസാണോ അത്? ഈ വെള്ളം വരുന്നോണ്ടിരിക്കുമ്പോഴത്തേക്കും സോയിൽ സാൻഡ് ലെയർ ആകുമ്പോഴത്തേക്കും ലൂസ് ഉണ്ടാവില്ലേ അത്?
അപ്പൊ അത് ഇപ്പോഴും ഒരു പ്രോബ്ലം ആണ്. സാൻഡ് ലെയർ ആണെങ്കിൽ വെള്ളം വരും. അപ്പൊ നമ്മൾ സാധാരണ ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു ചെറിയ പിറ്റ് അതിന്റെ താഴോട്ട് കൊടുത്തിട്ട് അതുകൂടെ കോൺക്രീറ്റ് ചെയ്ത് കളയും. ഇത് കോൺക്രീറ്റ് ചെയ്ത് വരുന്ന കൂട്ടത്തില്, അതായത് ഒരു ചെറിയ ഡ്രമ്മിന്റെ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു ടിന്നിന്റെ സാധനം താഴോട്ട് ഇറക്കി വെക്കും. മേ ബി ഇപ്പൊ നമ്മുടെ പെയിന്റിന്റെ വലിയ ഡബ്ബ വരില്ലേ, അത് നമ്മുടെ ഫൗണ്ടേഷന്റെ പാർട്ടായിട്ട് താഴോട്ട് കുഴിച്ചു വെക്കും, ഈ റീഇൻഫോഴ്സ്മെന്റിന്റെ താഴെ. എന്നിട്ട് അവിടെ ആയിരിക്കും നമ്മുടെ where we'll be pumping out water from there. And once we do the concreting, we will concrete this area also. അപ്പൊ അതുവരെ this will be at a lower level so that water is taken from that. And ഇങ്ങനെ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ what we do, we control the water cement ratio. വെള്ളം കുറയ്ക്കും, കുറെ ഡ്രൈ സിമെന്റ് ആദ്യമേ ബേസ് ലെയർ കൊടുക്കും, so that we can prevent that water mixing അവോയ്ഡ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട്. അപ്പൊ കുറെ സിമെന്റ് ആദ്യമേ അഡീഷണൽ ആയിട്ട് കൊടുക്കുമ്പോൾ ഡ്രൈ മിക്സ് ആകുമ്പോൾ കുറെ വാട്ടർ will be absorbed in and we will be able to manage that. But like you pointed out, it's a challenge. We will have to come up based on the solution of what is the water table and what is the water pressure to look into.
സാർ, ആ കേസ് തന്നെ ഇപ്പൊ നമ്മള് മോട്ടർ വെള്ളം പമ്പ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ ഈ കോൺക്രീറ്റിലെ ഗ്രൗട്ട് ഫുള്ള് പോരില്ല ഇങ്ങോട്ട് തന്നെ നമ്മൾ കോൺക്രീറ്റ്.
അപ്പൊ അതിനാണ് നമ്മൾ താഴത്തെ ലെവലിൽ നിന്ന് ഇത് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. മറ്റേ ലോവർ ലെവലിൽ നിന്ന് ചെയ്യും, കുറെ ഗ്രൗട്ട് നമുക്ക് നഷ്ടപ്പെടും. Then you will have to go for a higher mix to make sure of the loss which is going to happen.
മിക്ക കോൺക്രീറ്റ് നമ്മൾ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ എങ്ങനെയാലും വെള്ളം 2 ഫീറ്റോളം വെള്ളം വരും. ഇൻ കേസ് നമ്മളിപ്പോ എന്താ പറഞ്ഞ പമ്പ് ചെയ്യാനും പറ്റില്ല, ആ കേസാ വരുന്നത് നമുക്ക്.
സാധാരണഗതിയിൽ നമ്മൾ ഡ്രൈ മിക്സിന് പോകും, വെള്ളം കുറച്ചിട്ടുള്ള മിക്സിന് പോയിട്ട് പമ്പ് ചെയ്യാവുന്ന വിധത്തിലാക്കിയിട്ട് സോൾവ് ചെയ്യും. ആൻഡ് യു വിൽ ഡു എ ഫ്ലെക്സിബിലിറ്റി ഓൺ ദ ടൈപ്പ് ഓഫ് മിക്സ് വിച്ച് യു ആർ ഗോയിങ് ടു യൂസ് അറ്റ് ദാറ്റ് പർട്ടിക്കുലർ കേസ്.
ഓക്കെ, താങ്ക് യു സർ.
പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് വീടുകൾക്ക് നമുക്ക് ലിമിറ്റേഷൻ ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ അതിന് വെല്ല് പോയാൽ കുറെ ബെനിഫിറ്റ് ഉണ്ട്. കാര്യം വെൽ ഫൗണ്ടേഷൻ ആകുമ്പോൾ ചുറ്റും സൈഡ് ഇടിയില്ലല്ലോ, അപ്പൊ കുറച്ചുകൂടെ എളുപ്പമുണ്ട്. ആൻഡ് ദെൻ യു ക്യാൻ ഡു എ മാസ് കോൺക്രീറ്റിംഗ്. 30 വേണ്ടതിന് ഒരു 50 ചെയ്യാം ടു പ്രിവെന്റ് അറ്റ് ദ ബോട്ടം. കാര്യം ആൾറെഡി ഇറ്റ് ആക്ട്സ് ആസ് എ ഷട്ടർ there.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Well, sir, I have noticed something actually, when you explained the Lulu project, wherein you have massive, extensive landscaping on the podium. What are the main, aspects that we have to keep in mind while designing such kind of podiums?
Yeah, the podium, what is happening is that this sort of landscaping, most important thing is the waterproofing. That is a biggest challenge. So now geo membranes are available, high strength waterproofing membranes are available. So there might be a cost involved, but on the long run, it helps us. Second is that now lot of geo membranes are available, which will allow horizontal drainage. So if we can allow geo membrane to be placed, then the thickness of the layer which you need, because for this landscaping lawn, you need maximum 15 to 20 centimeter under filling. You don't need more. And now there are lightweight material available. For this particular project, we imported material from Indonesia, which is only 800 kg per m3 density. Whereas if you go for a red earth, it will be 2000 kg per m3. So that is almost 2.5 times higher loading. So that is the concept which then what you should know what is available in the market, what is the new technology. then you will be able to adopt it. So that is a system which we adopted to bring down the weight. And wherever they wanted trees, we went for pit, 4 feet by 4 feet by 4 feet pit, so that they can do the trees on that. So that was done in the slab itself, wherever the trees was needed. Or one particular area where they wanted that tree, where we made it into different levels, so that they will be able to. Yeah. Any more questions?
Any questions? It'll be great if you all can, appear on the screen rather than hiding up. Let us talk. It's a golden opportunity. It's not very easy, to get professionals like Dr. Anil Joseph all the time. Please, everybody, please hold on. Grishma, one second. Give me a moment. 1 second. Everyone, please enable your videos. Come forward. Everyone, please. Grishma, go ahead.
Yeah, sir. Actually, I have a doubt. In paddy fields and all, which is like recently there's been a rule which has come up, which has given permission to convert the paddy field to like converted land, which is like suitable for construction and all. So like if there's like a paddy field like that, which has undergone like all the proper compaction or like a few years back, but if we are using such a land for construction of a residential facility or something, what are the factors that we have to take into consideration while building the foundation, or like any tests that have to be undergone beforehand, like before like starting the construction procedures for like a residential complexes or like residential purpose houses and all?
Yeah, Grishma. So Grishma, whenever you are doing in paddy field can be different type. Again, depends upon what is the type of soil beneath and what is the strength of the soil beneath. So first and foremost, whenever we do paddy field, we will have to raise the land, because water table will be a problem. So flooding is likely to happen. So we will have to raise the building. So we should understand that how much height the refilling is needed. Second is that what is the type of soil beneath. You will have to do a soil investigation, and again, if it is a soft clay, we will have to come up with a different solution. If it is certain paddy fields will be on sand, so there won't be much problem. You will be able to construct on that with a isolated or a strip foundation, which we have pointed out. But if the soil is bad, you will have to go for a drain pile or there are certain very soft clay and decayed wood in large depth. So that if that is below, then you will have to go for a deep foundation. So that has to be ensured before we take a decision, especially when you are going to make a construction in house in the paddy field area. And again, if you invest money and later on realize that the building is settling, it will be a problem. So it is better to have a proper study and then take a decision based on that. Grishma, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Varun.
സാർ എൻ്റെ വീട് കുന്നത്താട് ഏരിയയിലാണേ. നമുക്കവിടെ അത്യാവശ്യം നല്ല ഹാർഡായിട്ടുള്ള സോയിലാണ് അവിടെ എല്ലാ ഏരിയയിലും. നമുക്ക് പലരും നമ്മുടെ ആൾക്കാരായാലും നമ്മുടെ അടുത്ത് വന്ന് ചോദിക്കാറുണ്ട്, നമുക്ക് വീട് പണിയാൻ വേണ്ടി പോവാണ്, എന്ത് തരം ഫൗണ്ടേഷനാണ് വേണ്ടത്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ മറ്റേ വീട്ടിലായിട്ട് മുകളിലോട്ട് എക്സ്റ്റൻഷൻ, പഴയ വീട് 10 വർഷം 15 വർഷം പഴക്കമുള്ള വീടുകൾ, അതൊന്ന് മുകളിലോട്ട് എക്സ്റ്റെൻഡ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് അതിൻ്റെ ഫൗണ്ടേഷൻ സ്ട്രോങ് ആണോ, അങ്ങനെയുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ നമ്മൾ ചോദിക്കാറുണ്ട്. അങ്ങനെയുള്ള കേസുകൾ നമ്മുടെ സൈറ്റിൽ ചെന്നിട്ട് നമുക്ക് എന്താണ് മെയിനായിട്ട് നമുക്കവിടെ എങ്ങനെയാണെന്ന് അനലൈസ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുക, അങ്ങനെയുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ?
Varun, വളരെ important ആണ്. Practically for an engineer to begin practice, this sort of questions generally comes and we try to run away from that. So the first and foremost thing is that to have the confidence to go there, see what is there. So that Varun, I told that basic concept, take trial pit on 4 sides and see what is there. Take a rod and hit it with especially pipe, 1 inch dia or 2 inch dia pipe, and hit it with a hammer from the top. So you can understand that what is the penetration resistance there. So if it's a good, and once you retrieve the sample, once you retrieve the pipe, you know what is the type of soil coming from that. So it's a crude method of testing, but then it serves the purpose. If it is a hard laterite like in your area, so there generally hard laterite means you should immediately refer what will be the bearing capacity. So it will take about 15 to 20 ton per meter square bearing capacity. So you should excavate and see what is the foundation they have provided. If the foundation, what is the width that you can measure. So if it's a reasonable thing, then you can go for a rubble foundation itself. It's a new project, 60 centimeter or 75 centimeter is there. They can go ahead with that. Now, if they have opened the foundation, if you found that there is a good rubble foundation, we can allow them to do the second floor, because I told you the approximate load that is going to come from a two-story building is only 6 ton per meter. So if it is a 60 centimeter width of the foundation is there, if there is a soil can take a 10 ton per meter bearing capacity, then rubble foundation is safe to do the further extension for the next floor. So that's sort of a decision which you will be able to take after visiting the site, doing a trial pit, opening up the foundation, what is there, measure the foundation and do that. As a precautionary measure, whatever we suggest is that whenever you are doing on top of that, you should provide a belt at the top of the ground floor, means RCC belt, so that the load get distributed into the strata below. And you should see that how the dampness is there on the wall. Is it a laterite wall? Is it a brick wall? And based on your observation, you can take a judgment. This is the concept which is going to happen. So then you will be able to advise them to go for a second floor or not. And the more you observe or not, what is the reason of that crack? Is it a suite you can construct on the one more floor above that? And if it's a good strata, you can go for a rubble foundation or an inverted T foundation for your building which you are suggesting, Varun.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Varun.
Sir, I am Samir.
Yeah.
സാറേ നമ്മളെ ഇപ്പൊ ഒരു ബെൽറ്റ് ഇല്ലാന്ന് വിചാരിച്ചു, അവർക്ക് ഡബിൾ ഒരു സെക്കൻഡ് ഫ്ലോർ എടുക്കണം. അപ്പൊ അതിന്റെ ഫൗണ്ടേഷനിൽ ബെൽറ്റ് ഇട്ടിട്ടില്ല. അപ്പോ അവർക്ക് അത് എടുക്കുകയും ചെയ്യണം. അപ്പൊ എങ്ങനെയാണ് അതിനെ നമുക്ക്
അടിയിൽ ബെൽറ്റ് വേണ്ട സമീർ, നമുക്ക് ഗ്രൗണ്ട് ഫ്ലോറിന്റെ റൂഫ് ഇല്ലേ, റൂഫിൽ നമുക്ക് പുതിയ വരുന്ന വാൾസ് അറിയാം. The walls we are generally plan it on top of the floor wall below. Over that you can provide a belt on top of that wherever you are not having an opening. So you can provide the belt on top of that, so that what will happen,
നമ്മുടെ ഫൗണ്ടേഷന്റെ മേളിൽ ഇട്ടിട്ടില്ല, ബെൽറ്റ് ഇട്ടിട്ടില്ല.
നിർബന്ധമില്ല. If the soil is good, it is not needed. We are providing only on the roof of the ground floor before we are going to make the construction for the first floor, so that the load get distributed uniformly. That's the concept.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other? Yeah.
Sir.
Yeah, Tino.
നമുക്കിപ്പം 2018 നമുക്ക് ഫ്ലഡ് വന്നു. അപ്പൊ സാറിന്റെ ഒരു എക്സ്പീരിയൻസിൽ ഈ ഫ്ലഡ് ഒരു ലോങ് ടേം ഇമ്പാക്ട് നമ്മളുടെ ബിൽഡിംഗ്സിൽ ഉണ്ടാക്കിയിട്ടുണ്ടോ?
Yeah, definitely. 2018 floods, flood വന്ന് വെള്ളം ഇത് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ what is happening? If it is immersed in water, the strength goes down. But you might have seen, many videos where the building is collapsing, and we will feel really bad about it. And they have constructed their house with the hardened money with a laterite. What happens? Laterite and weak laterite. What happened when the weak laterite get immersed in water? It absorbs water, and its strength starts deteriorating. There are so many small buildings which are collapsed just because of that. Our plaster because it is all penny wise pound foolish. They saved that cement to protect the water from getting into the laterite. So what happened during the flooding? The water was absorbed into the wall. The wall became weak, and the water with the roof it has started collapsing. At least 70 to 100 buildings has fallen accordingly. So if they have used maybe 10 to 20 bags of cement, they could have saved that. If they have gone for a rubble foundation instead of a laterite foundation, all those buildings would have been saved. So, but there was no one good engineer or one good engineer neighbor who had the confidence to tell them that what you are doing is dangerous and tomorrow you might end up with a problem. Due to this flooding, there have been damages, there has been settlement, and there was a lot of retrofitting which was needed because of this problem.
ഓക്കെ, അപ്പൊ നമുക്ക് ഇതിനി ഫോർകാസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് നമുക്ക് നമ്മുടെ ഫൗണ്ടേഷനിൽ എന്ത്, അതായത് റബിൾ ഫൗണ്ടേഷൻ ഇപ്പൊ സാറ് പറഞ്ഞു റബിൾ ഫൗണ്ടേഷൻ നല്ലതാണെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. ഇപ്പം ഞാനിപ്പം കണ്ടിട്ടുള്ളത് ഇപ്പം ടാങ്ക്സ് ഒക്കെ സംടൈംസ് ഒക്കെ അത് empty ആയി കിടന്ന സംടൈംസ് എല്ലാം പൊന്തി വരുന്ന ഒരു എഫക്റ്റ് കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതായത് താഴ്ന്ന വാട്ടർ പ്രഷർ വന്നു വലിയ വലിയ സംടൈംസ് ഒക്കെ പൊന്തി വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനെയുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ നമുക്ക് എന്താണ് ഇപ്പം സംസ്ഥാനത്തിന് അങ്ങനത്തെ സ്ട്രക്ചേഴ്സിന് ടാങ്ക് സ്ട്രക്ചേഴ്സിനൊക്കെ നമുക്ക് എന്ത് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും?
ടിനു വളരെ ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റിംഗ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു പോയിന്റ് ആണ് ടിനു പോയിന്റ് ഔട്ട് ചെയ്തത്. This has been reported in many places because when the water table is higher, what will happen? There is a buoyancy which is going to happen. അപ്പൊ ബോയൻസി വളരെ ഹൈ ആകുമ്പോൾ ഇപ്പൊ 3 മീറ്റർ വെള്ളം വന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ 30 kilonewton per meter square uplift വരും. അപ്പൊ if the self weight of the tank will be very less, so it will start coming up. So either you should do proper anchor by some piling system when you are constructing those sort of tank, or whenever there is a flood, you should make sure that it is opened up and the water is full inside your tank, so that there is no possibility of uplift going to happen. If we can be careful, it can be solved effectively. Whenever we do raft foundation also, when we go below, certain times we leave holes in the raft, which will be concreted later on only, because whenever there is a flooding, water has to come above. If it resists, the entire raft will be lifted up. So there are many tanks which has come up, especially the even water authorities huge tank has come up because of this problem. And I remember a story, like I remember an incident for one of the leading builders here, about 25-story building. And they called me one day, it was heavy rain. They told that our building is coming up. Our building is coming up, there is a problem. And I was rushed into the place and we realized that water tank is coming up. It's the water tank in the area, since it was having water table was going up and the buoyancy force was more, the water tank was coming up, and whatever be the landscape which was nearby was getting broken. So what we did, we pumped water into that immediately. And once the load was re-established, it settled down, and luckily the damages was not heavy. There was no crack formed, and we were able to sustain that. So that's a concept, and that's a very valid point we should share with among our engineering fraternity, to understand that during heavy rainfalls and flooding, we should not leave our tanks empty. It has to be at least 90% full. So that sort of thing, especially sometimes which is beneath ground level when the water table is coming up.
Okay.
Thank you, for contributing that for the young engineers to understand.
Thank you.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhu.
Prabhu, clear allalla, Prabhu. പ്രഭുവിനൊരു ഹാൻഡ് ഫ്രീ യൂസ് ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിൽ
സർ ക്ലിയർ ആണോ? അപ്പൊ അതായത് നമ്മൾ ഈ ബേസ്മെന്റ് എടുക്കുമല്ലോ, ഈ ബേസ്മെന്റ് നമ്മൾ എടുക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി ഷീറ്റ് പൈലൊക്കെ ചെയ്യുമല്ലോ. ഈ ഷീറ്റ് പൈൽ ചെയ്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞതിന് ശേഷം ഒന്ന് സോൾവ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. അതായത് അവിടെ ഇപ്പൊ തൊട്ടടുത്തുള്ള വീടുകളുടെ ചേർന്നുള്ള വീടാണെന്ന് വെക്കുക. അപ്പൊ അതിന്റെ ഫൗണ്ടേഷൻ ക്രാക്ക് വന്നു, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഭിത്തിക്ക് ക്രാക്ക് വന്നു. അപ്പൊ നമുക്ക് അവിടെ ഉള്ള സോയില് സ്ട്രെങ്ത് കുറഞ്ഞു പോയിട്ടാണ് നമുക്ക് ആ ക്രാക്കുകൾ ഉണ്ടാകുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ ആ ക്രാക്കുകളെ നമുക്ക് പിന്നീട് ഉണ്ടാവാതിരിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ആ സോയിലിനെ വല്ല സ്ട്രെങ്ത് ചെയ്യാൻ വല്ല ഓപ്ഷൻ വല്ലതും ഉണ്ടോ?
പ്രഭു, സാധാരണ നമ്മള് ഷീറ്റ് പൈൽ ചെയ്ത് നമ്മൾ എക്സ്കവേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ ബേസിക്കലി ബേസ്മെന്റിന് നമ്മൾ എക്സ്കവേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ വി ഹാവ് ടു ബി വെരി കെയർഫുൾ. എന്ത് ടൈപ്പ് സോയിലാണെന്ന് നോക്കണം. Especially sand content, fine sand content soil has created this problem when we are doing dewatering. അത് fine side ഇപ്പുറത്തേക്ക് വരും. അങ്ങനെയാണ് അവരുടെ ബിൽഡിങ്ങിന്റെ ഫൗണ്ടേഷൻ താഴോട്ട് പോന്നിട്ട് ക്രാക്കും കാര്യങ്ങളും ലീഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. So it's a problem which is created by us. അപ്പൊ നമ്മളുടെ ഡെപ്ത് ഓഫ് ഷീറ്റ് പൈൽ is a factor. നിങ്ങൾ 3 മീറ്റർ ഡെപ്ത് എക്സ്കവേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ ഞാൻ കണ്ടേക്കുന്ന 360 ഷീറ്റ് പൈൽ അടിക്കും. എന്നിട്ട് അവിടെ ഇവിടെ വലിച്ചിട്ട് അവർ ചെയ്യും. അപ്പൊ എന്ത് പറ്റും? ഇതിന്റെ അടി കൂടെ മണ്ണ് ഇങ്ങോട്ട് പോകും. ഒരു 3 മീറ്റർ എക്സ്കവേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ 6 മീറ്ററിന്റെ ഷീറ്റ് പൈൽ അടിക്കണം. 4.5 അടിച്ചാൽ പോരാ. 6 മീറ്റർ, എസ്പെഷ്യലി സാൻഡ് ആണ് ലെയർ എങ്കിൽ 6 മീറ്ററിന്റെ ഷീറ്റ് പൈൽ അടിച്ചാൽ അതിന്റെ അടി കൂടെ മണ്ണ് വരില്ല. അത് പ്രോപ്പർലി ഇന്റർലോക്ക് ചെയ്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഇത് ചെയ്യാം. പിന്നെ പ്രഭു പറഞ്ഞ പ്രോബ്ലം അങ്ങനെ ഒരു ക്രാക്ക് വന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ എന്ത് ചെയ്യും എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. അതിന് നമുക്ക് ഗ്രൗട്ട് ചെയ്ത് അവരുടെ സോയിൽ സ്ട്രെങ്തൻ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. നമുക്ക് അവരുടെ സോയിൽ സ്ട്രെങ്തൻ ചെയ്ത് കൊടുത്തിട്ട് ഡാമേജസ് റെക്ടിഫൈ ചെയ്ത് കൊടുക്കാൻ പറ്റും. അതിന് നമുക്ക് പ്രഷർ ഗ്രൗട്ട്സ് ഉപയോഗിച്ചിട്ട് ഗ്രൗട്ട് പമ്പ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് അവരുടെ വീക്കായ സോയിൽ ഒഴുകി പോകുന്ന ഭാഗം നമുക്ക് സ്ട്രെങ്തൻ ചെയ്ത് സോൾവ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. അതാണ് നമുക്കൊരു സൊല്യൂഷൻ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. പക്ഷേ ദേ വിൽ ബി വെരി ഹാപ്പി, വെരി അൺഹാപ്പി. ഒരുപാട് കേസസ് ഉണ്ടാവും, ബഹളം ഉണ്ടാവും, ഗുസ്തി ഉണ്ടാവും. ഇറ്റ്സ് എ വെരി കോമൺ തിങ് വിച്ച് ഹാപ്പൻ ഇൻ മെനി ഓഫ് അവർ പ്രൊജക്ട്സ്. ആൻഡ് യു ഹാവ് പോയിന്റഡ് ഔട്ട് എ റിയൽ കേസ്. വെനെവർ ദർ ഇസ് എ ബേസ്മെന്റ്, ആ ഷീറ്റ് പൈൽ അടിക്കുമ്പോൾ പ്രശ്നം ഉണ്ടാവില്ല, പൈൽ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ പ്രശ്നം ഉണ്ടാവില്ല. പക്ഷെ ബേസ്മെന്റ് കുഴിച്ച് മഴ പെയ്ത് പമ്പ് ചെയ്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഡീവാട്ടറിങ് കഴിയുമ്പോൾ അപ്പുറത്തെ മതിൽ പോവും, ഇപ്പുറത്തെ വീട്ടിൽ ക്രാക്ക് വരും, അതിന്റെ അപ്പുറത്തെ ഇത് വരും. ആൻഡ് ദാറ്റ് വിൽ ടേൺ ഔട്ട് ടു ബി എ ബിഗ് ദിസ് തിങ്. സോ പ്രോപ്പർ പ്രിക്കോഷണറി മെഷേഴ്സ് ഇൻ ടൈപ്പ് ഓഫ് ദ ഡെപ്ത് ഓഫ് ദ ഷീറ്റ് പൈൽ വിച്ച് യു നീഡഡ്, ടൈപ്പ് ഓഫ് ഡീവാട്ടറിങ് യു ആർ ഗോയിങ് ഫോർ. നമ്മൾ എന്ത് വെറുതെ ഒരു വലിയ സംഭവത്ത് അങ്ങ് വലിയ പമ്പ് കൊണ്ടുവന്നിട്ട് 20 വെച്ച് ഇപ്പൊ പമ്പ് കൊണ്ട് അങ്ങ് പമ്പി. ബട്ട് ഇൻസ്റ്റെഡ് ഓഫ് ദാറ്റ് ഇഫ് യു ഗോ ഫോർ മൾട്ടിപ്പിൾ ലെവൽ ഡീവാട്ടറിങ് സിസ്റ്റം, അപ്പൊ ചെറുതായിട്ട് ക്വാണ്ടിറ്റി മാത്രമേ വലിക്കുന്നുള്ളെങ്കിൽ ഈ ഫൈൻ ലോസ് വിൽ ബി ലെസ്. ഇനി അവരുടെ സ്ഥലത്ത് ആദ്യമേ തന്നെ നമുക്കൊരു ഒരു നെറ്റ് ബാരിയർ കെട്ടിയിട്ട് നമുക്ക് ഗ്രൗട്ട് ചെയ്ത് കൊടുക്കാം. സോ ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് വാട്ട് ഇൻ ഫോറിൻ കൺട്രീസ് ദേ ഡു. ദേ പുട്ട് എ സ്ട്രെങ്തനിങ് സിസ്റ്റം ഇൻ അവർ ബൗണ്ടറി ഇറ്റ്സെൽഫ്. അപ്പൊ അവരുടെ ഫൈൻസ് ഒഴുകി വരാതെ പ്രിവെന്റ് ചെയ്യും, വിച്ച് വി ഡോണ്ട് ഡു ഇൻ അവർ പ്ലേസ്. ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് വൈ വി എൻഡ് അപ്പ് വിത്ത് ദിസ് സോർട്ട് ഓഫ് പ്രോബ്ലംസ്.
വേറൊരു സംശയം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു.
ചോദിച്ചോളൂ.
നമ്മള് സൈറ്റില് സ്റ്റീലുകൾ പല പല ബ്രാൻഡുകളാണ് വരുന്നത്. ഇപ്പൊ 500 ഗ്രേഡിന്റെ സ്റ്റീലുകളാണ് നമ്മൾ എടുക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ ഈ വരുന്ന സ്റ്റീലുകൾ പണിക്കാർ ചില സമയങ്ങളിൽ പറയാറുണ്ട്, ചില സ്റ്റീല് അവർക്ക് നിവർത്തിയെടുക്കാൻ, അതായത് യൂറാഡ് ആണല്ലോ സ്റ്റീല് വരിക, അപ്പൊ അത് നിവർത്തിയെടുക്കാൻ അവർക്ക് എളുപ്പമാണെന്ന് പറയുന്നുണ്ട്. ചിലവര് പറയും ചില സമയങ്ങളിൽ വരുന്ന സ്റ്റീല് ഭയങ്കര സ്ട്രെങ്ത് ആണ്, നിവർത്താൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല, ടെമ്പർ കൂടുതലാണെന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ ഈ ടെമ്പർ കൂടുതലുള്ള സ്റ്റീലും ടെമ്പർ കുറഞ്ഞ സ്റ്റീലും നമ്മൾ ഈ കാൻഡിലിവർ ബീമുകളൊക്കെ യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്തും ഒക്കെ നമുക്ക് ലോഡുകളൊക്കെ വരുന്ന സമയത്ത് എന്തെങ്കിലും പ്രശ്നങ്ങളുണ്ടോ അങ്ങനെയുള്ള സ്റ്റീലുകൾ ഉപയോഗിക്കാം? അത് നമ്മൾ എങ്ങനെ അതിനെ മെയിൻറ്റെയിൻ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും? ഒരേ ഗ്രേഡിലുള്ള സ്റ്റീല് സൈറ്റിൽ വരുമ്പോൾ ടെമ്പർ കുറവ്, ടെമ്പർ കൂടുതൽ, അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ചില ബ്രാൻഡുകൾ വരുന്നുണ്ട്. അത് നമുക്ക് എഫക്ട് ചെയ്യുമോ നമ്മുടെ കൺസ്ട്രക്ഷനിൽ, ബിൽഡിങ്ങിൽ? പിന്നെ അതൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ ഒരു എല്ല് നിവർത്തി, എല്ല് ഒടിച്ചു എന്ന് വെക്കുക, കോളത്തിന് എല്ല് ഒടിച്ച് നമ്മൾ കട്ട് ചെയ്ത് വെച്ചു, നമുക്ക് വേണ്ട എന്ന് വെച്ച് നമ്മൾ നിവർത്താൻ നോക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഈ ടെമ്പർ ഉള്ള കമ്പിയൊക്കെയാണ് ഒടിഞ്ഞു പോകും, തിരിച്ച് നിവർത്താൻ ഒടിഞ്ഞു പോകും. ടെമ്പർ കുറവുള്ളതാണെങ്കിൽ ചിലപ്പോൾ ഒടിയണമെന്നില്ല, ചിലപ്പോൾ നിവർന്ന് കിട്ടിയെന്നിരിക്കും. അപ്പൊ ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള സ്റ്റീലുകൾ നമ്മൾ കോളത്തിലൊക്കെ യൂസ് ചെയ്തെന്നിരിക്കുക. ഇപ്പൊ എന്തെങ്കിലും വല്ല എർക്കൊക്കെ അങ്ങനെ വരുവാണെങ്കിൽ ഈ ടെമ്പർ കൂടുതലുള്ളതായതുകൊണ്ട് സ്റ്റീല് കോളം പെട്ടെന്ന് പൊട്ടിപ്പോവോ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ടെമ്പർ കുറവുള്ളത് ചിലപ്പോ ഒന്ന് ഇതായി കൊടുക്കും, ഒന്ന് അണങ്ങി കൊടുക്കും, അങ്ങനെ എന്തെങ്കിലും വല്ലതും ഉണ്ടോ?
പ്രഭു എവിടെയാ വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നത്?
ഡ്രീം ഫ്ലവറിലാണ്.
ഡ്രീം ഫ്ലവറിൽ. പ്രഭു അല്ല, വളരെ ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റിംഗും വളരെ ഒബ്സർവേഷൻ ഉള്ളൊരു പോയിന്റ് ആണ് പോയിന്റ് ഔട്ട് ചെയ്തത്. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഞാൻ എവിടെ വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നതെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചത്. പ്രഭു, ദിസ് ഇസ് എ വെരി ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് ആസ്പെക്ട്. വാട്ട് വിൽ ഹാപ്പൻ, ഇതിനകത്ത് ജനറലി ഇറ്റ്സ് എ മാനുഫാക്ചറിങ് പ്രോസസ് അല്ലെ? സ്റ്റീലില് അവര് ഇത് ചെയ്ത് ചിലപ്പോ ഗോ ഫോർ ഇൻകട്സ്, അതായത് ബേസിക് സ്റ്റീലിന്റെ കമ്പോണന്റ് വാങ്ങിച്ചിട്ട് റോൾ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ ഈ കാർബൺ കണ്ടന്റിൽ വേരിയേഷൻ വരില്ല. ഇഫ് ദ കാർബൺ കണ്ടന്റ് വേരീസ്, ഈ ടെമ്പറിന്റെ പ്രോബ്ലം വരുന്ന കാർബൺ കണ്ടന്റ് കൂടുമ്പോഴാണ്. സോ വാട്ട് വിൽ ഹാപ്പൻ, സ്ട്രെങ്ത് വിൽ ബി ഹയർ. പക്ഷെ അതിന് സംതിങ് കോൾഡ് ഇലോങ്ങേഷൻ ക്രൈറ്റീരിയ എന്നുണ്ട്. അതായത് ഒരു പർട്ടിക്കുലർ ലോഡ് വന്നില്ലെങ്കിൽ അത് ഡക്ടൈൽ ആവണം. ഡക്ടൈൽ ആയില്ലെങ്കിൽ പ്രഭു പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ എർത്ത് വരുമ്പോൾ അത് അബ്രപ്റ്റ് ഫെയിലിയർ വരും. അവിടെയാണ് അത് മൂവ് ചെയ്യില്ല, അത് മുറിഞ്ഞു പോകും. അത് വെച്ച് വെരി ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് പോയിന്റ് വിച്ച് യു ഹാവ് പോയിന്റഡ് ഔട്ട്. അത് അതിന്റെ ഇലോങ്ങേഷൻ ടെസ്റ്റ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊരു ടെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യണം. നമുക്ക് കമ്പിക്ക് സ്ട്രെങ്ത് എലോൺ ഈസ് നോട്ട് എ ക്രൈറ്റീരിയ. സ്ട്രെങ്ത് കൂടുതലുള്ള കമ്പി ഒരു ഇതാണെങ്കിൽ ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് നോട്ട് ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ്. ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് വെരി ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് ദാറ്റ് ഇറ്റ് ഷുഡ് ഹാവ് ദാറ്റ് ഡക്ടൈൽ പ്രോപ്പർട്ടി. ഡക്ടൈൽ പ്രോപ്പർട്ടി വന്നാലേ എർത്ത് ഇത് നമ്മൾ എർത്ത് വരുമ്പോൾ ബിൽഡിംഗ് ആടണം എന്നാ പറയുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ ആടാൻ പറ്റാതെ ഇത് ടെമ്പർ ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ എന്ത് പറ്റും? ലൈക്ക് യു പോയിന്റഡ് ഔട്ട്, നിങ്ങൾ നിവർത്താൻ പോകുമ്പോൾ ഒടിഞ്ഞു പോകുന്ന പോലെ ഒടിയും. So you should not use those steel. Elongation test നടത്തണം. Elongation percentage തന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. What should be the minimum? 15 to 17% elongation വേണം 500 grade ഇതാണെങ്കിൽ. അപ്പൊ ഓരോ ഗ്രേഡിനും ഓരോ ഇലോങ്ങേഷൻ തന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. ആ ഇലോങ്ങേഷൻ ഇല്ലാത്ത കൊണ്ടാണ് ഈ ടെമ്പർ വന്ന് സാധനം ഒടിഞ്ഞു വന്ന്. ഇറ്റ് ഷുഡ് നോട്ട് ബി യൂസ്ഡ് ഫോർ മേജർ കൺസ്ട്രക്ഷൻ, എസ്പെഷ്യലി ലൈക്ക് യു പ്രഭു പോയിന്റഡ് ഔട്ട്. ഇറ്റ് ഷുഡ് നോട്ട് ബി യൂസ്ഡ് ഫോർ കോളംസ്. ഇറ്റ്സ് എ വെരി ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് ആസ്പെക്ട് വിച്ച് യു ഹാവ് ടു കൺസിഡർ ദാറ്റ്. സെയിം കമ്പനിയുടെ ബ്രാൻഡിന് തന്നെ പ്രോബ്ലം വരും. But then don't be shy, send it back. You tell your owner that this is not good enough, I cannot use that, tomorrow it will be a problem. കേട്ടോ. അത് അപ്പൊ നമ്മൾ വെണ്ടറിനെ കൊണ്ടുവന്ന് അവർ റീപ്ലേസ് ചെയ്ത് തരും. വി ക്യാൻ ഗെറ്റ് ഇറ്റ് ഡൺ. പ്രഭുവിന് കൺഫ്യൂഷൻ ആയി. Prabhu, clear ayo Prabhu concept point is very important. Temporal scale will lead to problem in the future, so you should have ductility there, so that you have to incorporate that.
Any other questions? ഇതൊരു വലിയ റിലവന്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ടോപ്പിക് ആണ് എടുത്തത്. സോ യു ഷുഡ് ഹാവ് ഡൗട്ട്സ്. എന്നാലേ എന്തെങ്കിലും മനസ്സിലായി എന്ന് നമ്മൾക്ക് കരുതാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. കാരണം ഫൗണ്ടേഷന്റെ കാര്യത്തിൽ എപ്പോഴും നമുക്കൊരു കൺഫ്യൂഷൻസ് വരാറുണ്ട്. കാരണം എപ്പോഴും ഒരു ക്ലയന്റ് നിങ്ങളോട് എപ്പോഴും ചോദിക്കുന്ന കാര്യമായത്, നിങ്ങൾ എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് കല്ല് കെട്ടാത്തത്, അല്ലെ എന്തിനാണ് നിങ്ങൾ കോളം ഇടുന്നത്, അല്ലെ കോളം ഇടാത്തത് എന്താണ്, പൈൽ എന്താ ചെയ്യാത്തത് എന്നൊക്കെ ചോദിക്കുന്ന എപ്പോഴും നമ്മൾ എൻകൗണ്ടർ ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ആണിത്. ഐ തിങ്ക് യു ഷുഡ് ഹാവ് ഡൗട്ട്സ്. എന്നാലേ ഇത് നമുക്ക് സക്സസ്ഫുൾ ആയി എന്ന് പറയാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ.
സർ നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞു റബിൾ ഫൗണ്ടേഷൻ, അതായത് ഫ്ലഡിന്റെ സമയത്തൊക്കെ റബിൾ ഫൗണ്ടേഷൻ ആണ് കൂടുതൽ നല്ലത്. അതിന്റെ പിന്നിലുള്ള ലോജിക് ഒന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു തരാമോ?
റബിൾ ഫൗണ്ടേഷൻ എന്താന്ന് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാല്, ഇഫ് ദ സോയിൽ ഈസ് വെരി ഗുഡ്, ഹാർഡ് ലാറ്ററൈറ്റ് ആണെങ്കിൽ വൺ ഈസ് ദാറ്റ് റബിൾ കെട്ടുമ്പോൾ ഉള്ളത് എന്താന്ന് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ വി ഹാവ് എ മിനിമം വിഡ്ത്. ലോഡ് ട്രാൻസ്ഫർ ചെയ്യും. ഹാർഡ് ലാറ്ററൈറ്റ് ആണെങ്കിൽ കോസ്റ്റ് ഈസ് ദ ചീപ്പസ്റ്റ് ഇഫ് യു ആർ ഗോയിങ് ഫോർ എ റബിൾ ഫൗണ്ടേഷൻ. But most of this end of the day, everyone cares for their money, and money has to be saved. Appo nalla laterite nalla soil vanengi rubble foundation is sufficient, but we generally prefer inverted foundation because rubble inde pocket undengile rubble inde pocket undengil avade settlement varum. Appo inverted cheyanengil 40 centimeter there is a 1 or 2 meter gap in between. The load will be bypassed as a beam action. നമ്മുടെ മുകളിലെ ഫ്ലോറിൽ വരുമ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ബീം ഇടുള്ളൂ. വെൻ യു ആർ ഹാവിംഗ് എ ബീം ഇറ്റ് bypasses that particular load. അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനെയാണ് നമ്മുടെ ഓപ്പണിംഗ് വരുന്നത്. സോ സെയിം കൺസെപ്റ്റ് ഹാപ്പൻസ് ഇൻ ദ ഗ്രൗണ്ട് ലെവൽ ഓൾസോ. But that is why inverted T foundation is preferable over rubble foundation if it is not a good soil. If it's a good soil, why should you spend more money? Because ടിനുവിന്റെ അടുത്ത് വരുന്ന ക്ലയന്റ് നേരത്തെ നെബു പറഞ്ഞ പോലെയാ, he will think why should I go for rubble inverted T? I said Tinu rubble തന്നെ, my building is safe എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ economical design ആണ്. So Tinu gets a point in the market. തൊട്ടപ്പുറത്ത് ആള് പൈൽ അടുപ്പിച്ചിരുന്നെങ്കിൽ that is the cost. But if there is a problem, your entire career is gone. So you have to be very careful when you take a judgment on type of foundation what you are going to depend upon, and it depends on the type of soil and strata you have. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് നേരത്തെ നബി ചോദിച്ചത് എന്തുകൊണ്ട് പൈല് വേണം. ഇത് എപ്പോഴും വരുന്ന ഒരു okay. So it's what happened is that if it's only rubble foundation, so the problem is that it will be more economical compared to the inverted T foundation.
Any other questions? Anybody else?
ഹലോ അനിൽ സാർ.
സാർ
ആക്ച്വലി ഇടയ്ക്ക് എന്റെ കണക്ഷൻ പോയിരുന്നു. ഞാൻ ഇപ്പോഴാണോ വന്നത്. സാറിന്റെ പ്രസന്റേഷൻ എനിക്ക് കാണാൻ പറ്റിയില്ല. സാർ എനിക്കൊരു ചെറിയ ഡൗട്ട് ഉണ്ട് സാർ. ആക്ച്വലി നമ്മുടെ എനിക്ക് എറണാകുളത്തിനെ കുറിച്ച് ഒത്തിരി അറിയത്തില്ല, പക്ഷെ നമ്മൾ ലേ മെറിഡിയൻ ഹോട്ടലുണ്ട് എറണാകുളത്ത്. അതിനടുത്തൊരു ഒരു 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 ലീനിങ്, ഞാൻ ജസ്റ്റ് ഗൂഗിളിൽ സെർച്ച് ചെയ്ത് നോക്കുമായിരുന്നു. ഒരു ലീനിങ് ബിൽഡിംഗ്, ഒരു റെസിഡൻഷ്യൽ ബിൽഡിംഗ്, ഒരു 10-15 നിലയുള്ള ഒരു റെസിഡൻഷ്യൽ ബിൽഡിംഗ്. പക്ഷെ അത് ഞാൻ പണ്ട് മുതലേ ഈ എറണാകുളത്തൊക്കെ വരുന്ന സമയത്ത് ഈ ഹോട്ടൽ വഴി എനിക്കൊന്നൊരു 10-15 വർഷമായിട്ട് ഈ ബിൽഡിംഗ് ഇങ്ങനെ കിടക്കുക. അത് എന്തുവാന്ന് അറിയത്തില്ല. അത് നമ്മുടെ ഏതോ ഒരു സെഷൻസിനിടയ്ക്ക് നമ്മളത് ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്തെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു. ആക്ച്വലി ആ ബിൽഡിങ്ങിന് ഒരു ചരിവുണ്ട്, ഒരു ട്രയാങ്കുലർ ഷേപ്പോ. എനിക്ക് സാറിന് ആ ബിൽഡിംഗ് മനസ്സിലായി കാണുമായിരിക്കും.
എനിക്ക് മനസ്സിലായി. അല്ലന്റെ ഡൗട്ട് ചോദിച്ചോട്ടെ. ഐ വിൽ ആൻസർ ദാറ്റ്.
അതല്ല സാർ, സത്യം പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ആ ബിൽഡിംഗ് കാണാൻ നേരത്ത് ശരിക്കും പറഞ്ഞാൽ സങ്കടമാണ് വരുന്നത്. നമ്മള് ഈ പാസ്സായി പോകുന്ന നേരത്ത്, കാരണം ഇത്രയും പൈസ മുടക്കിയിട്ട് അതും ഇത്രയും നമ്മുടെ കണ്ണായ ഒരു സ്ഥലത്ത്, ആ സാറിന് തന്നെ അറിയാമല്ലോ ആ ലാൻഡ് പ്രോപ്പർട്ടിയുടെ വാല്യൂ ഒക്കെ, ശരിക്കും അതൊരു വേസ്റ്റ് അല്ലേ സാർ? അത് എന്തുകൊണ്ട് അങ്ങനെ സംഭവിച്ചു? നമ്മളൊരു എന്താ പറയുന്നത്, ഒരു അനാലിസിസ് നടത്തി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ, ഇപ്പം നടത്തിയിട്ടൊന്നും കാര്യമില്ല, പക്ഷെ എന്നാലും എന്തുകൊണ്ട് അത് എങ്ങനെ ഒഴിവാക്കാമായിരുന്നു?
Alan, it's a good observation, and that's a building which is generally debated. So if I take my memory back, in the beginning of the career, is Semik nu parnja oru builder ande aanu. That building belonged to a builder called Semik. and he was one of
Okay.
the leading builder at that time, and we were doing structural consultancy for some of his other projects. So
Okay.
for this project, what happened, there was a lot of value engineering done. They wanted to optimize it. So they went for a compromise foundation. One is that it went into a legal tussle. He had a lot of financial problem, and he
Okay.
when he became bankrupt, totally bankrupt. And then
Okay.
second aspect, that there was a lot of corner cutting in the foundation. And that is the most difficult thing in a foundation. Once you make a mistake, it's very difficult to correct that. So there was some under design which happened in the structure, which led to a differential settlement of that building. That is why there is a leaning, and without over the years, it has undergone deterioration also. And he has gone beyond recovery. His liabilities were high. And I remember meeting him first time. I have to sit 1.5 hours to get an appointment from him. And he had 8 to 9 cars. He owned 8 to 9 cars at that time. And he was considered one of the leading builder. So it's a matter of time. In engineering, you take a wrong decision, your career might end up with that. Especially when you are a builder, because people underestimate things. They sell like a commodity. They sell at lower value, and they were Semic build was one of the biggest builders at that time, and he had so many projects. But then end of the day, soon it becomes become a liability, and this building had the problem. It went into a bigger issue, and there is a smaller differential settlement and more legal tussle connected to that. I think it can be required if somebody take that building properly and do a detailed study, and we can come up with some technology to balance that. And now there are technology where we can rectify a lot of foundation problem by underpinning and some sort of retrofitting procedure. But then legal tussle, he has gone total bankrupt, and now there is no authority right now. In fact, he had moved out from Cochin because of this issue.
Okay, so thank you.
So lesson, we should remember that we have to be very careful about the foundation which we do. Otherwise, somebody would have taken that building. Now nobody sees value for the building also.
True.
Any other questions?
One more question. Anil sir, one more question.
Yeah.
Can I ask?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. Sir, actually, if you observe in last 2-3 years, there is continuous flood and so many things, because especially in Cochin, many low-lying areas, it will be underwater, and the people will be moving from there to this camps and all set up by the government. So the thing is that sometimes ഇപ്പം 2017 വെള്ളം വന്ന സ്ഥലത്ത് ചിലപ്പോൾ 2018 വെള്ളം വരണമെന്ന് നിർബന്ധമൊന്നുമില്ല. എൻ്റെ ഒരു ജസ്റ്റ് ഒരു ഒബ്സർവേഷൻ പോലെയാണ്. അന്നേരം ആക്ച്വലി ഇപ്പം നമ്മളിപ്പം പാരമ്പര്യമായിട്ട് നമ്മൾ താമസിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് നിൽക്കുന്ന സ്ഥലത്ത് നിന്ന് നമ്മുടെ ഫോർ ഫാദേഴ്സ് എല്ലാം താമസിച്ചത് നമുക്ക് പെട്ടെന്ന് വേറൊരു സ്ഥലത്തോട്ട് പോകണം എന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞാൽ ആക്ച്വലി അത് പാടാണ്. പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഒരുപാട് സ്ഥലങ്ങൾ കൊച്ചിയിലൊക്കെ കാണും. അന്നേരം അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ആൾക്കാർക്ക് ഇനിയിപ്പോൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും? ഒരു പക്ഷെ ഒരു ഫ്ലഡ് ഇനിയും വന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അവരെന്ത് ചെയ്യണം?
That's a very important aspect. Now, what is happening, Alan?
Yes.
I was very closely involved in all this rescue operation as part of district administration during that 2018 period, and I always believe that there is a story for everyone in Kerala. Everyone in Kerala, before floods and after floods, there is a story. Now, that 2018 flood, we lost so much of life, 430 odd life. And then most of these areas got flooded. Why? Because there was so much of siltation which has happened. And now there is a river which was running. We encroached into the river. Correct. We encroached into its capacity, and we started building our buildings in that area. So it was not the fault of the river. The river had that particular width and this thing which was reduced. Second aspect is that there is now after that 2018 flood also, Alan, we don't have a mechanism. None of the rivers are desilted. There was so much of siltation happened. What happened? The river had a depth of 5 meters. 2 meters silt and other waste material has come and dumped over that. So the capacity of the river has been reduced considerably. So we should have a major exercise across all our rivers to do a desiltation, remove the waste, allow the dredging to happen. So there is a lot of argument in the government also happening. But unless and until we don't desiltate, you are reducing the capacity of your river to discharge into the sea. So what will happen? The water will start coming up. And then we put concrete everywhere. So what will happen? There is no seepage happening to the ground below. Everywhere we make it impermeable. So we have to go back. We have to make it sustainable ways. There has to be a lot of plantations to happen. The trees has to be there. The roots are there. The roots will hold the soil from getting eroded. So all those things we have not learned the lesson properly. Now we have to have the system, bring it back. Young people like you and others should take lead so that it is our society. We have to make sure that it is improving. So there should be a project where we have to do desiltation of our dams, so that if you say 30% of the Idiki reservoir is filled by sand at the bottom. So if you remove that, the capacity improves by 30%. If you desil the so many rivers in the Periyar belt, if you desil that, the capacity will be much better. And you should have more trees planted in the areas, more green sustainable concepts where they allow the water to go down. Then this flooding won't happen. What is happened? We have engrossed into the river, taken its area, made construction there. That is where we are getting into problem. Same happens in the hill area. Okay. What they do, they go there without considering the slope, everything. They build their house on that. What will happen? The landslide happens, and then the building will get damaged. So these sort of issues we have to have social thinking capacity, and young civil engineers who know this has to take the lead to come up with system where we can improve upon the sustain. Because end of the day, we are the one who are going to suffer. Okay. Along with the people who are not educated also. So as educated people, we should take the lead to get it back to reality and do all these things to ensure that the future floods won't create a problem. And flood management system and a disaster management cell has to work. Here we don't have a disaster management cell.
Sir, sir, ഇപ്പം പ്രശ്നങ്ങളൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞു എനിക്ക് മനസ്സിലായി. പക്ഷേ സാർ നമുക്ക് ആക്ച്വലി ഇതിലെ സൊല്യൂഷൻ നമുക്ക് എന്ത് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും?
Say we can join together, approach this like as a person, as an individual. I am involved in so many activities. I am part of the disaster management team. I am the part of Better Kochi response group. I am part of this Rotary Foundation, this foundation, that foundation, wherein we are putting our little bit. As Engineers Builders Association of India, like Varghese and all know, so we try our level best to improve upon. So small steps and small awareness creation. We start owning up that if the society has to improve, we have to start from our own level. So if we all take up small steps in the right direction, society will change. Our attitude will change. Say this throwing garbage problem will get reduced. And that education of the society is a very important aspect. As learned people, let us try to put our little bit into that so that it will become a major force. Now there are so many other things. People are also coming out because these politicians, they have their own agenda in all the event. But we should have people who think for the growth of the society, and then definitely I say as a force we will be able to make a change to the society.
Sir, I would like to add to it. Basically, being educated people, actually, we are actually not willing to get into trouble. That is the biggest.
Definitely, exactly. We don't want trouble. We want everything nice. That means society is. Our thing will be, our house should be good. Our surroundings should be good. But
look at the policy makers. But look at the policy makers. See, for a society where there is a lot of educated people, the most literate society, the policy makers are illiterate, and we never speak up. So we have to speak. We have to talk. We have to point out if there is a mistake. We as educated people, as technocrats, we have to point it out. We have to talk.
Yeah, understood. But the thing is that actually, if you speak up, you will be cornered.
No, you will not. That's the problem.
Because the entire political setup is like that. Whether you vote for BJP, whether you vote for Congress, whether you vote for communists, whether you vote for an independent person, nothing is happening.
Alan, basically, as Sanil sir has mentioned, as an individual, we may have restrictions, we have limitations, but as a group, we have a say. We have classic examples here. There is a place called Kirakambalam in Ernakulam. They have proven it.
You are talking about the 2020, that Kitex group.
Yes, they have proven it. Similarly, there are many organizations, popping up. And, as engineers, as civil engineers, we have a major role to play. We have many organizations wherein we can raise our voice against, corruptions. We can raise our voice for quality, and we have to point out this is what we have to do. The society have to change. If the society have to change, we have to change, and we have to make the differences. We cannot sit back and say, these things have to change, and that thing, this is not the way it is supposed to be. We have to raise our voice. You have to talk.
Yeah, correct. But this 2020 actually, I have seen in the Facebook one small video regarding that thing. But thing is that why they are not being honored is that they are financially very stable. You cannot touch them just like that, because they have the local administration, the panchayat also they have under control, and they are also educated people. I don't know about the background of them, but they take up the contracts. They do it scientifically. The roads also, I have seen the video. That grader, paver, and all the equipments they are having, they take up the contract, they execute it, and the boundary walls, all water bodies, dredging also they have done.
The same thing, Alan, the same thing can be done in a different way as well. As you have mentioned, they have money, they are financially strong. Yeah. But also what we have to also agree that, the concept they put forth was acceptable for the common people.
Yes.
And they have used their CSR fund for the betterment of their own society. Similarly, anywhere it can be, possible. There are serious
still they are not getting much publicity. Only
they
through
are.
Only through Facebook, all the those who are politically impartial share their video.
Yeah, but they are in fact, they are a model that we can.
Yes, correct. Definitely.
The models doesn't have to advertise themselves.
Correct.
That have to be adopted. We all have to act accordingly. See, in the case of Palarivattam, Anil sir and all, when they have fought against it, they doesn't want it to be demolished because they wanted a load test to be conducted. But see how our voice are unheard. The decision was taken by, the people who doesn't even know what is a structure. There were nobody else to raise their voice. So everything we should have our say. That's my point.
As a society member, that is the difference between developed nation and our nation. And we are going to be a developed nation in your period. So we have to raise our voice. Now what is happening is that AAP came up like that in Delhi. If you know Kejriwal.
Yes.
And Mokshagundam Visheshiriya, we all celebrate Engineers Day on September 15th for him. He was not only a good civil engineer, he not only built dams, he was part of administration, he was part of decision making. So if you want to make change, like Nebu pointed out, we have to get involved. So like Alan told that we are happy with our this thing. And we know that there are issues, but none of us want to take this thing. But as a force together, we can make a difference. And there are so much of movements which is happening in Trivandrum. There is the Chamber of Commerce has come up with a group. They are going to fight candidates in every constituency against the other political parties. With the only intention is that we want a stable society, a proper society, and a proper decision making. But our politics is so difficult that unless and until you have that mass number with you, you cannot win. Because T20, they are able to do it in a small place, but we cannot make it into a larger area. But all of us, like young people like you, come forward, we can make this thing. In Cochin also, we have a group called Better Kochi Response Group, where we are trying our level best, get into all the government activities and try to help the government in coming up with a solution. We cannot be always a rebel. We should understand the limitation and be part of the decision making. Now, most of the government projects, I am involved in something or the other, because once you are positive and have that positive thought into that, contributor to the team, understanding the limitation, then you are accepted. So like that, the acceptance improve, you get a more opportunity to change our society, and that has to happen. It is not only limited to civil engineering, it's the entire process which we have to think on.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And I feel it was one of the best sessions we had, where we had one interaction and discussion. It's not only to be limited to civil engineering. We need good people in the society to come forward.
That's a very valid thing. I would like to add to it, Anil sir. Actually, into the mainstream politics also, we should have our representation. Because when you have a lot of educated people in the politics, in the mainstream political parties, then the things will start changing. And if you look at the developed nations, as Anil sir has mentioned, politics is not a business. They're all educated people are getting into politics, and they have their own profession.
Yes, yes.
That is when you can contribute to the nation. So everybody should.
Out of 544 parliamentarians, we have 280 criminals.
Yes.
Whereas you see the Parliament of Canada, everybody is a specialist in their profession. So that is where when they make a decision, it's not on a vested interest. It's on the interest of the younger generations which is going to come up. If we can have leaders like that, that is going to make a big change in the society.
Very true. Very true. And we have leaders among ourselves, but the leaders are still behind the curtain. That doesn't even want to show their face. As Alan has mentioned, people are scared. Why are you scared? You should come forward. At least come and talk. At least this is a very closed community here. Only 33 people over here. Come forward, talk, and prove yourself. You can talk any nonsense. Doesn't have to be an intellectual talk.
Yes, sir, I have a question.
Go ahead, Tina.
Okay, I'm just asking out of curiosity. So I've read somewhere that the Taj Mahal has a well foundation and the casing is done using wood. So wouldn't wood be affected by moisture, or is that true? Is wood taken for foundation?
Yeah, Tina, very good question, Tina. If you go to, if the wood is immersed in water, what happens? Wood get damaged when there is a fluctuation of water, and if it's exposed to alternate wetting and drying, it get damaged. So in the foundation of Taj Mahal, they have gone beneath, and it's near the river. So the whatever is the caisson which they have formed is below the water. So it is not getting that variation of water which is going to happen. So if you take if you go to Venice, the entire place is made of wood foundation only, and everything is always submerged in water. So if it is submerged in water, this bacteria or the other harmful insects won't attack the wood, and the life of the wood will be long. So that is why the Taj Mahal, such a beautiful structure made out of well foundation, made of wooden caissons, are still performing beautifully. And thank you very much for adding that concept of looking, and very happy to know that you have studied what was the foundation of Taj Mahal.
Thanks, Tina. And you have such structures in our Kuttanad and such areas. You can still see
it's always submerged below water. Yeah,
some houses with such kind of foundations. All right, shall we call it a day? Shall we wind up?
Yeah. I think Nebu, you can or Varghese can tell the vote of thanks. Varghese, yeah. So you can have the vote of thanks.
Sir, one more question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
സർ സത്യത്തിൽ ഇപ്പൊ എന്താണ് പാലാരിവട്ടം ഫ്ലൈ ഓവർ ഇപ്പൊ എന്താണ് അല്ല ഇനിയിപ്പോ എന്താണത് സ്ട്രക്ചറിൽ വരുത്തുന്ന ചേഞ്ച് എന്താണ്? ദിവസവും അതിന്റെ മുന്നിൽ കൂടെയാണ് പോകുന്നത്, പക്ഷെ അതെന്താണ് അവിടെ ചെയ്യുന്നത് എന്ന് മനസ്സിലാകുന്നില്ല.
What they are doing is that they are dismantling the superstructure up to the pier cap and the entire deck and slab. Girders of deck slab demolish that they are going to reconstruct that. And now pier they are strengthening using retrofitting technology. And over that, they were not planning to do the pier cap, but we have written a letter to Sridharan sir stating that since you are dismantling girders and the slab, it is better to dismantle the pier cap also, because that is the worst affected element. And he has agreed to that, and the pier cap is also getting dismantled. And pier, they are strengthening that, and they will be doing the reconstruction. And again, things are going as per their planning. So 8 to 9 years, we have the bridge back in form. But then again, it was a bridge which could have been retrofitted to strength. But then the decision is taken. We should respect the decision, and we should be supportive of the decision. And that is what I wanted to convey to Alan. We cannot change everything together, but we have our voice and try our level best, and wait for the next opportunity. We all can make a difference to the society.
Sure.
Yeah, Varghese.
Varghese, go ahead with that.
Can you just repeat it question again?
No. We want you to say the vote of thanks.
Vote of thanks.
Vote of thanks for the session. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Anil sir, for overheading the session, taking the session, and thank you, Nebu, for organizing this session. And thanks everyone for the participation. And apart from that, so many questions have been asked today. So thank every participant for asking the questions. Thank you very much.
And a special thanks to Anil sir for handling the situation accordingly, because the today's today's lecture was supposed to be given by Jimmy sir of Geosynthesis, and he had a serious technical issue wherein he was not able to join us, and Anil sir has handled the situation really very well. Thank you, Anil sir. Thank you for being there. Thank you, Varghese. Goodbye.
Yeah, Nebu, thank you very much. I would like to add one point, and that is a skill set which you develop as a good civil engineer. Because certain times won't go as you plan.
So your voice is breaking.
Sometimes, because I have that ready. If something goes wrong, I know I have to pitch in to save the show. So it is the show that is important, and make sure that whenever you plan your construction, also plan. You are the commander in charge. You have to. Something might go wrong. Have the second plan B ready, plan C ready, and practice that into your profession, and you can make a difference. So thank you all for being here, and it was a very interactive session. Thank you, dear participants, and together. It is more, it's not the technique, it should not be a one-way thing where we have to discuss, debate, and Tinu, let us work out something. Alan, let us work out something. Tina, let us work out something. Let us make our voice heard into the society, and let us make a difference. And thank you, Varghese, being a pillar of strength for communicating, disseminating this knowledge. And thank you, Nebu, for continuously being anchor in this and getting it moving. And thank you, each and everyone. Let us make a difference to the engineering community. Thank you all.
Thank you.